Amazing. Rocky, want to see you.
I really don't think they flew 90 billion light years to start a fight.
Some say chill days so long gone, can't bring them back, no magic wand. Counting white cotton clouds, painted on the blue sky's shroud. And yet somehow that way is fake, with eternal hopeful flair. Pineapple pizza, Hawaiian ice freeze, yeah. Can't wait to be up. 3 days of you and me. I'm sailing. I just can't wait for 3 days of you and me.
He's been cited by Forbes, The Wall Street Journal, Benny Johnson, Timcast, Dr. Jordan Peterson, and even the U.S. government.
But soon they'll wake up to see the summer sizzle in me.
We're doomed. Will this never end?
Direwolf's back and so are you.
Oh yeah,
Belvedere flying over the moon.
oh yeah.
And everyone's singing just the right tune. Maestro blasting on the jazz flute.
We are all participating in mandatory fun activities.
Jelly bean bonus, every flavor in the bag. Super movie star, but first gotta join SAG.
Keep our eyes open.
Wunderkind, super friend, where are you? Get a search warrant for the near clear blue.
It's scooping time.
And can't you believe that? We've been waiting on you, can't you see that? Put away the bad things they said to you.
You are a sad, strange little man. Have my
After all, just have to call and say you're some kind of
Because you are the special.
epic. Epic, yeah, that's what you do. I'm talking about epic, it's all you know how to do.
You wake up to
Epic, it's on repeat for you. Oh, epic. Epic.
Hear ye, come on, to the never stopping daily strife, and it's called simpler times, they beckon so, floating on the water with no foam. Can we get away now, find a way now, somehow step out of this stream into a dream of slow it down. Jay says that he remembers a place before the never, ever river severed our tranquility. Counting cars by Highway 30, sitting in the porch swing, guessing colors so poorly. Yeah. Is the next one a blue or red one? Maybe silver, maybe gray. What a way to spend a day.
Ladies and
and gentlemen, it's the WDW Pro Show!
Well, it's Monday. We're back again.
But we're not going to worry about a Monday, are we?
It's Monday, boys and girls, let's party! It's Monday, boys and girls, let's party!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pro Show. We've got panelists joining us right now, and we have a special guest you cannot miss. We've got about 350 of you joining us right now across YouTube, X, the Tickety Talks, the Instagrammies, the GeoCities, and wherever else you might be. And you are in for a show tonight. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, why? Because we're going to be taking down the boo birds of Hollywood. We're going to be taking down the critics. We're going to be taking down everybody who says, look out for the Odyssey. And I have a friend, I have a companion, I have someone you just have to meet who's going to be joining us in just a moment to walk us through what's happening. I can't wait to introduce you to a dear friend of the channel. Ladies and gentlemen, who might it be?
Who could that be? Let's go see, boys and girls.
And it is Robert Lamb, writer of the original He-Man cartoon. Robert, we met in person at a con recently, not Southeast Game Exchange, but we met in Nashville. And as soon as we got to chatting, I said, we just have to make this happen on the Pro Show. And here you are. It's such a pleasure to have you to talk about some of our favorite franchises tonight. How are you, Robert?
I'm doing fine. And it was a real surprise and a thrill to run into you in Nashville. I've been watching you for a while now and enjoy the show very much.
Robert, for those who don't know, could you walk through exactly who you are and what you've done, some of the franchises that you've touched in the past?
Well, in the big 80s, I worked for Filmation Studios, a cartoon studio in California, and we produced several cartoon series. Most well known is He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, the spin-off show She-Ra, Princess of Power. We did New Adventures of Zorro, Hero High, Shazam, and our last show was Brave Star, an outer space western.
Robert, is it fair to say you know the sauce that makes these heroes work, the things, the special, the magic that's inside these things that fans crave for, and for some reason Hollywood just doesn't give us consistently anymore?
I have found it to be quite absent of late. We knew what we were doing back then. You know, not every show was a home run, but more often than not, they were very good shows. We enjoyed doing them. I started out as a storyboard artist. I've always been a storyteller, so I started out visually telling the stories, interpreting the scripts, and then I had some story ideas of my own, pitched them, and they brought me on as a staff writer.
Phenomenal stuff. Phenomenal stuff. Well, I cannot wait to get into it tonight with you, and we're going to do kind of a conversation about what you've done and what you see as the ills of Hollywood and how they can fix this thing, because I don't like to be just negative. I want to see, how do we fix this? Folks, if you're joining us, I know you saw the thumbnail and you like the thumbnail. We're going to talk about the Odyssey a little bit later tonight. Gary Ambrosia will be joining us shortly. Of course, Gary is an expert prop builder all through Hollywood, and Andy Masters will be hopping on in a little bit. But I wanted to start, besides Super Chats, what we'll get to in just a second. But Robert, I wanted to start with something I don't think anybody else is covering, and I thought you might be the perfect person to walk us through. These companies are racing right now, trying to get these flop films to streaming as fast as they can. They're dreaming there's a way to make money off Supergirl, Mando, and unfortunately, and it's in this position, Masters of the Universe. So perhaps we could talk about that first.
Yes, I think everything is racing too fast. I mean, back in the day, a long time ago in a cinema not too far from here, a movie would play for a long time, for months, because it wasn't going to any other format for quite a while. And they wanted to make the most of the box office. You know, then it'd go to home video, go to HBO and so on, but those took months to come out. And so you were motivated to go to the theater and see it on the big screen because, for one thing, TVs were very small and lower resolution and not good sound. So the theatrical experience was really special. Now our TVs are bigger. We have good sound systems at home. Also, the price was under $5 a ticket back in the day. Now it costs a fortune to take a family to the theater. So people are making those decisions. Am I going to go? Will I go more than once? Or can I just phone it in and wait till it comes on streaming, or I'll get the DVD later? It's affecting the overall income for the studios, for their IPs. And I think they've shot themselves in the foot with the streaming platforms.
Absolutely. Robert, real quick, let me get in one of our additional guests. Then I can't wait to dive in to this with you. And I'll say onto your point about, theaters have moved into homes. I was at a big box retailer a couple of days ago, and I came across a 100-inch screen TV. And I looked at the employee who was, getting this thing moved, and I said, how are they going to take it home? Like, you've got to have a dedicated trailer to put this thing, it won't even go into a standard size pickup truck. We'll get to that in just a second. But first, folks, we've got another guest joining us right now. Let's bring him on in.
Commander Cody, the time has come, homie. Execute Order 66. I'm still alive, mother.
And folks, he's one of our favorites. He is Andy Masterson. And hang on, let me see if I can click this button. Is he ready to go? Is this guy ready? Hang on. Click, 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 click. Oh, wait, that's just a desk. Here he is, too, joining us. It's Gary Ambrosia. Man, what a panel tonight. Guys, welcome aboard. Andy, how are you?
Pretty well. How about yourself, everyone?
I'm having a lovely day. Gary, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. How you guys doing?
I'm doing well. And Gary, I'm glad to hear that you're feeling a little bit better. You've been under the weather for a while, and I'm glad that you're doing great now, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm all right. Thank you.
All right. Well, guys, we are joined tonight by Robert Lamb, and he is a writer on the original He-Man cartoon, Masters of the Universe, as well as so many more, and I cannot wait to get into it. But first, before we do, folks, it's time. Let's hit those super chats because you are the superstars of the show. Juliet is out there, mod extraordinaire for 2 morning pro panel and pro rights. Good to see you out there, Juliet. We always appreciate you. Mark Fields for 199, power to the Niners. What can I say? Positive vibes to you all. Mark, you just did, and we appreciate it. More of it needed in this world. Paul, 12,000 for 10. Hang on a second. We didn't watch these movies. They were all awful since they started film. Okay, I got it. That is the song he's wanting me to do. We didn't watch these movies. No, we didn't like them. Now they're really struggling. Let's make a list. LOL. We're going to go through the list. Hang tight. Thank you, Paul. And Paul for 18 months says, another month, another member milestone chat. That's right. 1.5 years for you, Paul. Congratulations. Eric Stratton out there, member for 12 months. Happy birthday, Eric Stratton. Happy birthday, 1 year as a member of the channel.
Happy birthday.
Eric says, consider cause and effect diagram for movie review. Is that a new movie? I've never even heard of this. Guys, have you heard of this film? I've never heard of cause and effect diagram.
No, never heard of it.
Nope.
I feel like I should have helped with the title. I don't think it's a great title. I think there should be a rule. Diagram is a forbidden word in the list of things you might want to put out as the title of a show, a movie, or anything such. Oh, boy. Joppy says, for 50 crowns, any member panel today. No, Joppy, probably Wednesday night is going to be our member exclusive time. I'll let you know for sure tomorrow, but it's probably Wednesday night. We've got this one, which is not a super chat, but I enjoy sometimes taking on the Boo Birds, and so I think this is a Boo Bird opportunity. Anthony Cheeseman says, you lost with Barbie. I don't know how. I never saw Barbie, and I said Barbie would do great with women, so it did. In fact, I don't even think I made a real prediction about Barbie. Lost with Toy Story 5. I don't know how. I said it was going to make more than $1 billion, and it's going to make more than $1 billion. So far, I'm twofer. And it says, and you lost now. Talking about the Odyssey. Well, hang tight, because actually, we're tracking this right now. And in terms of tickets sold, not box office, tickets sold, it's looking a little shaky. However, I will say, so that nobody comes back later and says, oh, bro, you got it wrong. I think it's going to have a fantastic Monday and Tuesday. And the reason for that is because this is an IMAX event film. It's not too dissimilar from Avatar in some ways. And so a lot of folks could not get their IMAX tickets, and they're trying to get there on the Monday. And the Tuesday is important because there are people out there who are going to go to the matinee trying to get a cheaper ticket. Remember, the average cost of a ticket for this film is about $25. We covered this yesterday. The average cost of the ticket for this film is $25. The normal average ticket price is something like $16. This is a 50% increase. And that 50% increase is giving us massive headlines. But the question is, how many people are willing to pay 50% more? And the answer to that seems to be that if people are willing to pay that much for a ticket, then maybe the other studios need to be making IMAX-specific films and charging this, because that could be a winner for them. But in terms of cultural impact, don't freak out, folks. Don't freak out. I've been telling you this. It's selling just over Mando's numbers in terms of butts and seats. We've got Crin Chris, 8774, 1,000 gems, greatest of all time trophy. You know, I was down at Greenville, South Carolina, and Lauren Connor was riding with me. He might be joining us later tonight. We'll see. Lauren was riding with me, and we saw it on the GPS, this store called Goat and Grails, and we started laughing. And we'd been doing this thing where we'd been noticing strange business names, and this one was the strangest we had seen. And we just started laughing, Goat and Grails, because we thought, I don't even know what they would sell. Like, what? What do you sell at Goat and Grails? And hopefully there's somebody out there right now who works at Goat and Grails and is saying, we got to mention. But it turns out as we went by it was a combination of board games and sports player cards, like baseball cards, basketball cards. So Goat was for greatest of all time and Grail was for the board game thing. But I'm telling you, we had a great laugh saying, I don't even know what you're selling. What is this? They overthought it a bit. Paul 12,000 for 2. What are these trophies and jewels I'm seeing? Well, that's a new feature that YouTube has just rolled out on all platforms. We waited until it was out for all platforms before we turned it on the channel. And you can do these things, and things happen in the chat, and people see it, and they're all excited, and you can do that. And beyond that, I really can't tell you. But Patrick is out there dropping 5 wonderful pro memberships and helping folks get into that member-exclusive content next week. Thank you so much, Patrick. We appreciate you.
1.21 gigawatts! 1.21 gigawatts!
All right, we are going to speed through and hit the super chats that go to our good friend Mr. Lamb here, and then folks will get the rest on the other side, but we want to maximize our time. Patrick, getting away for 5. Robert, what was it like working with Lou Scheimer? Is that correct?
Yes.
Robert, do I have that right? Hal Sutherland and Norm Prescott at Filmation.
Well, it was a great experience. Filmation was the last cartoon studio that did everything in-house. Other studios, including Disney, were starting to send their TV work overseas. And Lou Scheimer, he started out as a young animator back in the 50s and the early 60s. He got together with his pal Hal Sutherland and Norm Prescott, and they formed Filmation in the 1960s. I didn't get to work with Norm. He had left the company before I started there, but I did get to work with Lou and Hal and enjoyed it very much. Lou was this tall Midwesterner. He sounded just like Jimmy Stewart, only with a more colorful vocabulary.
I don't even know those words. I don't know what you might be talking about.
And Hal Sutherland had actually came out of retirement to produce He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, and I had a great time working with Hal. He always wanted to find interesting ways to do things within our very limited budget. And there was one time where I was working on this one show that had this dragon called Granomir, the oldest and wisest of dragons, and Hal didn't like the pose that I had on the character, and so he posed for me in his office exactly how he wanted me to do, and I sketched out his pose, and that's Hal Sutherland in that episode. But it was a great place to work.
Fantastic stuff, and I can't wait to talk about this more. We've got some more questions for you. Packing Protons for $20. Thank you, Packing Proton says, thank you for He-Man. The first adventure cartoon I ever got into. Does anyone remember the Power Mall tour? A little trailer you went into and the toys were set up to tell a story with John Irwin announcing. Andy, any recollection of that one? Robert, any recollection? I don't remember that one in particular.
No, I was chained to my desk working on the next cartoon, I think, when that was going out into the communities and such. But I did meet at a He-Man convention a few years back. I met Jack and Leslie Wadsworth, who were He-Man and She-Ra out in promotional tours, and they were a great couple.
We've got Packing Protons for 5 again, says my He-Man Conan take is called Barbarian Man, Warrior of Time, a character that is mortal and can sell a toy from any time period. And then he gives a cheeky smile. I know what you're up to out there, Packing. I know what you're doing. Folks, we got a Tender Warrior joining us out there. We're going to click the button and see what happens. 3, 2, 1. Oh, we're still okay. Well, how about that, eh? Tender Warrior, we clicked it. Why? To play the clip for you and say a huge thank you. We've got Packing Protons again for 5. Speaking of toys, saw some writing in an old family photo from the 60s. It said, Looney Links. Found out about it in seconds thanks to the net. Well, there you go. Let's see. And folks, I promise we'll get all the other super chats. We're going to go quickly, though, because time is of the essence, as it always is here. Deal Racer for 10. Robert Lamb. So happy to see you on the Pro Show. Love you, buddy, from LinkedIn Chad.
Yeah. Well,
there you go. You got a big fan out there, and we're big fans of DL Racer. He's a good guy, and he's working to get a trailer out for a project he's got in development, and lots of big names associated. So go DL Racer, go, and looking forward to getting more info out there. Packing Protons for 5. Has anyone seen these Skanatar shorts of Skelly giving advice? Some of it is not bad. Not I, says the duck. But I will tell you that there are plenty of memes out there, and they're pretty darn great. Let's see here. We've got this from Bruce Newhouse, member for 10 months, says, thank you for providing great analysis on issues. And just want to say to Bruce, I'm getting this one early in case you start your trip and you're leaving. I hope you have a great trip. I heard that you are going to be having some fun, and we wish you lots of that. And Rip Bad Wolf has sent in 1,000 gems. It's a corgi. Gonna get weird around here with these gems. I don't even know what some of this means, but Rip Bad Wolf, thank you. Thank you for the gems, and I hope that you take the corgi with you.
You're the one who's out of this world, sweet baby. You're the one who's out of this world.
All right, folks, we got a fantastic panel, and they have things to say. I want to make sure they get those things said, and so we will be steadfast in our efforts to hit the first story. We're talking about Supergirl. We're talking about Mando. We're talking about Masters of the Universe racing to get to streaming, and what the heck went wrong. The race is on, ladies and gentlemen, to get the flops, the films that did badly this summer and made a bummer for their studios, to streaming as quickly as possible. Polygon has this to say by Sam Nelson. We'll zoom in so everybody can read it along with me. It says, when will Supergirl be available on streaming? Here's when the Woman of Tomorrow is landing in your living room. It says, chances are you have not seen Craig Gillespie's Supergirl in theaters. And if you have not, folks, you're better for it, I would say. The film about Superman's cousin accompanying a teenager on a quest for vengeance was a box office flop, despite having some bright moments like Millie's performance and Jason Momoa playing the bounty hunter Lobo. There wasn't much to like about it, I'll just tell you. So when is this thing going over there? Well, it says Warner Brothers typically waits a little over a month between theatrical and digital releases. Superman flew into theaters on July 9th, 2025. It was released digitally August 15th. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom made its VOD debut January 23rd, 2024, after opening December 22nd, 2023. Supergirl premiered on June 26th, so that means it will probably land on VOD, PVOD as they call it sometimes, by the end of July. And that's what we're hearing now, folks, is that this is indeed coming out by the end of July. Well, guess what? Everybody is moving as fast as they can. This breaking with the last 24 hours, Masters of the Universe is trying to get ahead of this thing. Master of the Universe is heading to Prime Video this week. Anthony D'Alessandro out of Deadline reporting this says Amazon, MGM Studios, and Mattel's Masters of the Universe will be streaming on Prime Video this Wednesday, July 22nd. Now, we had heard that Supergirl was going July 28th. So the geniuses at Amazon said, wait a minute, we don't want the very few who might pay for Supergirl to spend their cash before we get to streaming, so we're going to send our flop over there. And lest you think that this is the only duo in town, Mike Snyder out of USA Today, The Mandalorian Grogu digital home video release date set. When's it coming out? Well, after about 2 months in theaters, The Mandalorian Grogu is ready for its digital release starting July 21st. Oh my gosh, all three. In fact, I got to say to Amazon, I don't know what they're doing here. Like, you're coming out the day after Mandalorian Grogu. Maybe come out the day before. I don't know, but it is kind of funny that the day after Mando hits, here comes Master of the Universe, and then Supergirl thereafter. Now, all of this is tremendously quick. All of these studios are trying to rush these into streaming as fast as they can, and the reason for that, and by the way, not to free streaming. They don't care about the free streaming, but the reason they're going to paid streaming, I believe, is because they know that they have to go quickly before any attention is lost. Like, all attention is gone, but if there is just a modicum of money to be made, it's now and never more. Robert, we've watched these franchises really fail. These were huge in the 80s. Of course, we're talking about Star Wars. We're talking about Supergirl. Really, we're talking about DC at large. And we're talking about Masters of the Universe. Mr. Lamb, as someone who wrote on the original He-Man cartoon, can you tell us what the heck has gone wrong with these franchises? What is Hollywood getting wrong that now they're scrambling to stick them on streaming because they can't even survive in theaters?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with the whole master plan for dealing with their product. They're not keeping them in the theaters long enough, and people know that they're not going to be in the theaters very long. They're going to go right to streaming, so many people will just opt not to go. The prices have gone up steadily, and like you said, the price for IMAX has gone up to $25 a ticket. That makes it difficult for families, especially in these days when times are tight. So, everybody has big TVs now, so it's not like in the old days you went to the theaters to see a movie on a big screen with great sound because you had a little TV set with bad sound at home. So a lot of factors are going in, and people realize that unless they're really invested in the IP, they're not going to make an effort to go to the theater. They're going to wait around till it gets on TV, and through streaming or through any other service. So that's where I see it failing there. They've kind of shot themselves in the foot, and I don't know how they're going to get out of it.
The amazing thing about this, and people just don't think about it this way, but maybe now they will. I'm happy to elucidate this because I think Hollywood kind of gets away with some things. So they're very excited right now because the Odyssey appears to be doing well, and it may do well. The Odyssey, more than about any other film, will depend on the second weekend. We'll talk about that at other times. The thing here is, Andy, when we watch the Odyssey do well and they get all excited, the Odyssey is not going to sell any toys. It has almost no impact with kids. Every franchise we're talking about right now, The Mandalorian Grogu, Supergirl, Masters of the Universe, these films were not just films. These are movies that were supposed to spawn ecosystems of merch, of lunchboxes, of towels, of toys, of dollies, of action figures. And the problem is, Andy, not only did they fail at the box office, they failed to launch the entire purpose of their existence, which is hold on to retail space and be a force in the holiday season. Andy, what are your thoughts on where these franchises are, whether it's Star Wars, Motu, or DC, in terms of kids interacting with the toys?
Well, that goes back to the whole idea of why a kid wants a toy, because they see something that's accessible to them. I don't see too many parents wanting to take their kid to the Supergirl movie because she's got a lot of bad habits there that they don't necessarily want their children emulating. she's not a heroic figure. She's not like the Helen Slater version where it was wholesome. You could take a look at this character and appreciate it. Plus, girls play with toys differently than boys do. There's not too many boys that are going to go out there buying a Supergirl figure. They don't want the Supergirl figure. Yeah, they'll kind of take the Princess Leia along with it because it makes up the whole team. But you're not really they'll get Wonder Woman because she's a integral part of that holy trio of Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. The Mandalorian and Grogu. You're putting this TV. If you wanted toy sales from something like you should make it more accessible, not just make it a Disney Plus exclusive. Farm it out to things like Netflix, or even put some of these some episodes on like a broadcast television. They own ABC. They should put those things out there to appeal to a kid who makes them want to see this movie. But even the Mandalorian Grogu film, I don't know how well it did with children and how exciting it was to them to actually make them want to go and recreate some of that thing. You're involved with a big problem with the whole digital playtime where all the kids are going to games rather than actual tangible action figures and using their imaginations, which is a problem unto itself. But you have to make these things geared towards kids and what kids would like. And I wonder if there's anybody that's really locking in on that anymore, because kids have certainly changed. They get a little bit more of a maturity now than they used to at an earlier age. So that window where they actually play with toys might be shrinking there. If they had a Supergirl who was having different hairstyles, and they put out the doll's head that the girls could do the makeup and things like that on. And my daughter had things like that when she was growing up and absolutely loved it. And being able to interact with those things, they don't do the same kind of fantasy play that the boys do. And I think that's a real problem, just because if you're not cultivating that mindset in kids to have something you can actually play with and hold, then you're going to get less of it. So I think it's kind of would be smart business practice of them to try and make things that appeal to more than just the adult collector that wants to have a high-end collectible on the shelf.
Well, I am so happy you talked about this, Andy, both on the side of, are toys still relevant? I don't think that many people are going to be buying Supergirl skins in Fortnite, right? And that's another option for what this merch looks like. But I'm reminded of what you're talking about. Supergirl is not a likable character for parents to buy the merch for the kids. I mean, Supergirl pees on screen, vomits on screen, and eats the whatever comes out the back end of a bug, an alien bug, but they say it's chocolate. I don't know. Robert, it's not every night we get somebody who has the kind of expertise you do in this sort of thing. Andy is bringing up the toy aspect. Can you walk us through when you were writing for Masters of the Universe originally? What were the mandates that you were given in order to drive toy sales? What was the atmosphere like in terms of everybody knowing we can't break these rules, we have to do these things in order to get the action figures to sell? Because I can tell you, and I don't mean to make this question more complicated than it has to be, but when it came to Playmates and the Ninja Turtles in the 90s, every episode was designed, we got to sell this toy. So therefore, this toy is the subject of the episode. And I don't know how much it went into that area, but can you walk us through how important these franchises, how important the connection between the merchandise is?
Well, yes, actually, we had a very unique relationship with Mattel. Lou Scheimer negotiated the contract not giving Mattel any script approval. And that was going on at the other studios.
How unusual was that?
Highly unusual. Hasbro had total script approval for G.I. Joe, for example. And they mandated that as many characters as possible had to be on the screen at any one time. And if G.I. Joe went from point A to point B, he had to use at least 3 vehicles. So going down to the corner drugstore, you still had to fly the plane and do the tank and the Jeep. Lou told Mattel, I said, look, we will not tell you how to make your toys. You don't tell us how to tell stories. We will incorporate characters that make sense. and we'll use the vehicles from time to time. And if it makes story sense, we'll do it. But we're not going to do commercials. We're going to tell good stories. And so that was really a huge benefit. And the stories came first. And we invested in the character development and in telling pro-social stories. That was one of Lou's favorite terms. And the kids loved it. And what happened was that we were all by ourselves in first run syndication in weekday afternoons. We kind of broke that mold. All prior to that, all weekday afternoon cartoons were reruns from Saturday morning. So we had the field to ourselves the first year, and the toy sales and the merchandise went through the roof. And the thing was, we were not making commercials. It was obvious there were tie-ins, but that was not our purpose in doing it. In fact, in some cases, there were certain characters that we tried once and said, okay, that was just a one-off, and they did not show up again in the rest of the show. When we were doing development for She-Ra, Princess of Power, I and other writers, the writing staff, went to Mattel headquarters in Hawthorne, California, and the toy designers were presenting the She-Ra line and the Evil Horde line of characters. And when the designers presented this one character called Stinkor, which was a skunk character, and the toy actually smelled bad.
I'm sorry, the guys below me ruined it. I thought I could hold it together, and I couldn't. Gary, what are you doing to me?
That toy, and it stunk up my entire chest of figures.
The secret ingredient was a drop of oil of patchouli. That's what made it stink. Well, my the head of the writing department, Arthur Nadell, took one look at it and said no. He said there's only been 2 skunk characters in animation that has worked. One was Flower in Disney's Bambi, and the other was Pepe Le Pew. Otherwise, he's just a walking fart joke. Now, I and the other writers, which was Larry DiTilio and J. Michael Straczynski, who you may know of from Babylon 5 fame, but we wanted to do it because there was a female a heroine called Perfuma who would, put out flower fragrances. And I said, we've got to have a showdown, a duel between Perfuma and Stinkor. And the gas war, and everybody else in the whole show passes out. But Arthur wouldn't let us do it. So Stinkor did not make it into our show.
That's fantastic. Man, it makes me miss the days when this was the kind of stuff we were doing for kids' content. And I think that, James Gunn has just missed the mark. This is the kind of stuff that should be, in conversations behind the scenes instead of, are we going to allow Supergirl to be on the toilet on camera or not? And how do we do that? Like, this is how far we've fallen in this kind of thing. Gary, I see you shaking your head. I don't even think I want to give you a question. I would love to hear your thoughts on where we've come and these franchises. I mean, we're talking about Star Wars. We're talking about DC. We're talking about Masters of the Universe being rushed to streaming, Gary. Get it on streaming because people are going to forget about it. So you got to get it there as fast as you can.
Yeah, well, I thank you for bringing this topic up because before you did, I completely forgot about all 3 of those movies.
Well, then I would need to apologize because I don't want to make you remember these movies.
Thanks a bunch. But anyway, one of the most outlandish things in this in cinema history was George Lucas getting the toy rights to Star Wars, and that really launched this, universe of every kid had every Star Wars toy, and there were toys that were coming out that we couldn't even keep track of them. And it created this universe where we could play and create our own little, adventures and not have to go along with whatever happened in the movie. And it's the same thing with He-Man. Like, I had all the He-Man stuff right next to all the Star Wars stuff. I had my own adventures. And when the cartoon came on, I watched it. I brought the figures out. It was an event. This kind of ritual, I guess you could say, doesn't exist anymore. And I mean, and on top of it, how do you sell a Supergirl Barbie to a parent who's going to buy it for their daughter when the girl in the movie is pulling her underwear down and taking a leak and throwing up and is a complete alcoholic and a total trash mouth ratchet, hood rat? How do you do that?
I don't know, but they didn't figure it out clearly, Gary. I was hoping you had an answer for them because I don't know what you do to fix this.
I don't even think they considered it. It's obvious that Supergirl is not intended for a family. It's not by any means.
And what's it supposed to do if not sell lunchboxes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if they did intend for it to be for a family, then that's another fail. That's a whole nother different level of fail. But even the original Supergirl still appealed to young girls and women. It was a role model that they could look up to. That was the same idea for She-Ra, was it not, Robert?
Yes, indeed.
I mean, you're not going to show She-Ra getting drunk, throwing up, and pulling her underwear off on the cartoon. That would be, rancid and disgusting.
Let me interject here. Mattel came up with the He-Man line because this sort of thing happened to them. Originally, they had developed the Barbarian toys as licensed figures from Arnold Schwarzenegger's Conan the Barbarian. And they had done the designs and they were getting ready to go into production. And they attended the, preview screening, a studio screening of Conan, and were shocked that it was R-rated, violent, nudity, and all kinds of things. And they said, we can't have our toys associated with this. So they backed out of the licensing, but they had all these designs that we got to do something with it. And so they developed He-Man and the rest of them, but they didn't have anything to attach it to. In 1981, we had a show called Black Star, which was kind of a barbarian sword and sorcery cartoon. And
not a name, by the way, Robert, that we would be able to use for a show today, I would say.
Well, another little bit of trivia. We designed him to be African-American. And
doubly not going to work today, Robert. Just
and CBS said, no, America is not ready for a black superhero. And
not named Black Star. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'll stop.
So that's what it was. He was John Black Star, to give him the whole name.
Sure.
At any rate, Gunther Wall, Ruby Spears had Thundar the Barbarian, and Mattel was looking at the two shows. They liked Black Star better, which I'm glad, because that meant Filmation got to do He-Man. But that was the genesis of that, because of they didn't want to be connected with Conan the Barbarian because it was not right for their target audience of kids. Same thing with Supergirl.
Robert, let me give you the final word on all this. You are such a special guest, and we want to thank you for being here. You've seen the recent Masters of the Universe movie, correct?
Yes.
And I know that you're not a guy who wants to slam anything. And just like us, we want to give praise, and we try to call balls and strikes. So to the degree that you can, what do you think they got right and wrong? Because it is going to be rushed to streaming, and it didn't do what they wanted it to do at the box office. So you made the He-Man people like. What went wrong here?
Well, for one thing, I was invited to the New York premiere, and I got to hear from Travis Knight, the director himself, how he was a big-time He-Man fan, had the toys, loved the cartoons, loved the comics, and all that. They poured a lot of love into it. They were that was their tribute to the cartoon shows and their fantasies of how the characters would fight together and all that sort of thing. There are things that I really liked about the movie. There are things that I would have made different choices. But overall, it was enjoyable. In fact, I've seen it a second and third time, and I like it better the multiple times I've seen it. The thing is that it's basically a niche property for those who grew up with He-Man in the 80s and were big time fans, had the toys. That really was the core audience. And from what I've seen online, those who were fans of it as kids, many of them went back and saw the thing 4, 5, 6, 7 times. And in spite of that, it still didn't make the money it needed to at the box office. I had a friend who took his wife to see it, and his wife had no prior knowledge. He loved the movie. She couldn't understand what the heck was going on. It didn't make any sense to her. So I think that's where they miscalculated. They made a film for the fans and succeeded at that, but the fans weren't enough. There wasn't enough of those fans to make it a mega blockbuster.
Well, let me ask you this, because I don't disagree with anything you're saying. I think whoever was in marketing misrepresented what was in this film and killed all interest in the film. And I think that's a real shame. Did you have the same thought on that? Maybe. And I don't want to put you in a position where you have to disparage people that you don't know. I don't want to put anybody in that spot.
Well, the first trailer, I had some reservations, but there were some things I thought looked good. The second trailer answered some of those questions, and their marketing was to the fan groups. That was they weren't marketing to the general audience. I think that was the major mistake. A lot of the responses that I saw online from He-Man fans were generally positive during, or cautious optimism, I'll say it that way, during the marketing period. But people who didn't know anything about who were not connected with toys, younger people, for example, they just, it didn't have any appeal to them.
Maybe this was a nostalgia play for a franchise that needed to kind of be reborn because it did get passed from one generation to the next, unfortunately, because of some of the lesser than offerings that people have had. That's just a potential answer that I have for this one. Like, I get Supergirl and I get Mando. I know why they didn't work. But Masters of the Universe is a more tricky question, I think.
It is. And also, I think they made one very serious error. They went for a PG-13 rating.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And I had friends that had very small children and that were looking forward to taking them to see the movie. But I said, I wouldn't take any child under 10 unless they, because there's some really violent scenes in there for young kids. And there's some languages and jokes and innuendos, which depending upon the people might find inappropriate. And I advise them to go see it first and then decide whether it's appropriate for your child.
No, that's a heck of a point. That is a great point, because if He-Man is not for 7-year-olds, what are we doing? Right?
Exactly. Yeah. That's
a great point.
I thought 11 years and up, sure, no problem. But
and same thing with Supergirl. If Supergirl's not for 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds, what's it for? And the same thing again with Mando. Because Mando has some stuff in it that made it difficult for little kids to watch. It's like, this is Star Wars. You got a baby Muppet running around in this thing. If it's not for 5-year-olds, like, what are we doing here, guys? What are we doing trying to make this thing be mature? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comments what destroyed each one of these three. But the bottom line is, all three are now racing to streaming Hollywood, hoping you'll just pay attention to the Odyssey, maybe some Toy Story 5. But these films, they took a dive. And it's not because Hollywood understands the market anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so happy to have so many of you joining us right now. We are at, closing in on 1,000 people across all the platforms, 733 of you on YouTube, and I want you to know you're seen, appreciated, and heard right here on the Pro Channel. We're going to get to all the Super Chats now, and Mr. Lamb's time is precious. So is Gary's and Andy's, I know, but Mr. Lamb's got to go at a certain time, and so we're going to try to get these Super Chats while we can so that he can answer each and every one of them for you. One Magical Spark is out there for $199. Hi, Pro. Metalcore Breakdown is now one Magical Spark. Thank you. We got Mr. Projo out there, or if this is Spanish, Senor Pro, for $2. Thank you so much. And we've got Tennille the 10th, always with the 10th Super Chat for $2. Seems a bit early to declare mission accomplished. Tennille, I'm going to assume that you're talking about this, the Odyssey, right? I think it is too. I think they better be careful on this one. Second weekend going to matter. DL Racer, we got this one before. Thank you, DL Racer, again. And here we go. DL Racer for 20. I would love to see some speculation about the brand damage Mr. Christopher Nolan has done to himself. The Odyssey is just the last Jedi of his career, and that means it's over for many who lack forgiveness. Well, now that's an interesting theory, because this movie's doing very well in the first weekend. So did Last Jedi. The Odyssey has 2 weekends before Spider-Man comes swinging in. And the Odyssey needs to break $750 million. Now, I don't get the sense yet that people who love Christopher Nolan are abandoning Christopher Nolan. But I do get the sense that some in Hollywood are attempting to use this film to make a political point. And we'll be talking about that shortly. So hang tight, folks. We'll give thoughts on it in just a few. Packing Protons for 5. It's not hard to get He-Man right. 2003 was a great reboot. But Mattel screwed up the toys. Didn't have the same wow factor. Robert, Andy, you guys are both on different sides of the coin here. Andy, you're a toy expert. We'll start with you, I guess, Andy. What do you think about the toys from 2003 for He-Man?
Again, I think you're running into an issue of generational playing. I think a lot of the toy element of kids playing with them has been replaced. I remember a few years back, probably 6-7 years ago, a friend of mine had a little boy and was really into Jurassic Park dinosaurs. And so I went and picked him up like the coolest, biggest dinosaur. I think it was like the Indominus Rex or something like that came out. And he said, I was talking to him at a barbecue, and he said, I said, well, what do you like better, the actual toy or the video game? They had this Camp Cretaceous video game thing, and he's like, oh, I like the game better because I can do it whatever I want with the thing on screen. I said, yeah, but you can do whatever you want with the actual toy. And he had just liked the video game better. So I don't know how much of that is reversible. Personally, I think that video games are fun, and I don't think that they're horrible for children, and they have a good place. But I think that the imagination element that you put into actually physically playing with something is crucial to development. It's something that little kids have done with like corncob dolls and things like that for hundreds of years. But I think that there's something to be said with the marketing, where you have to get somebody that's not just coming from a academic background with it, but actually talk to some kids and find out what kids actually like to do, and then gear your product towards that.
Yeah, I think psychologically, with kids, especially the smaller they are, having a limitation doesn't mean that you completely, get rid of it, all the way. But having a limitation on screenplay is important or screen time, because since forever in human history and prehistory, kids have been playing with physical things. And I think that if you remove the tactile play with the toys, right, it was sticks and leaves, at one point 1,000 years ago. But if you remove that tactile touch for kids and they just stare at the screen, the blinking lights, good luck with whatever's going to come out of that, because it's not in accordance with what we've done for eons. So, but to stick with 2003, Robert, what are your thoughts on that part of the history of He-Man?
It was a good reboot. Larry DiTillio, one of the writers with Filmation, went on to write for that show as well. And they really tried to build upon what we had done in the 80s. There was a lot of respect for the original property. So I was pleased with what they did. We did not do as many origin stories as I would have liked. And we never did an origin story of He-Man, of how Adam first became He-Man. And that's one of the things they took on. That was Mike Young Productions.
Did you all have a roadmap of that, though, internally? Did you all have sort of the Bible that was hidden and you knew what the story was, so you could play with it?
Yes, there was a fantastic show Bible called that was written by Mike Halperin. And it had all the ancient knowledge and all this stuff in there and how things came about. In fact, in the original concept, Adam's mother, Marlena, Evelyn, and Beastman were all astronauts that came from Earth. Evelyn was originally named Evelyn Powers, and Beastman was named Biff Beastman. And they got split up in a dimensional warp, and Evelyn Powers and Biff Beastman got into Skeletor's dimension and were transformed into Evelyn and Beastman. But Marlena, a descendant of John Glenn, so as Marlena Glenn, she ends up crashing on Eternia and is found by young Randor. So that stuff was, we did do that story about Marlena, but they didn't do the origins of Evelyn and Biff Beastman. So, but there was a whole bunch of stuff that we had that we did not use, which annoyed me no end.
You know, I suppose that is the way it is with almost anything creative. You put so much work into building these worlds, and then there's only so much bandwidth, and the curtain always comes down at some point, and there are things you wish you could have done.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We've got Aaron out there. Remember, for 23 months, how much of Nolan's opening do you think is pre-sale? I'll give the quick answer to this. We don't have the exact numbers, but we know it is way, way more than usual, because at least for the 70 millimeter IMAX, this was on pre-sale for a year, which is like unheard of, right? So for the 25 IMAX 70 millimeter capable theaters in the country, it was on pre-sale for a year. So a huge percentage is going to be pre-sale. That's not to take anything away from it. It's just to say that's how that played out. We've got Retromeister, member for 20 months. Evening, gents. Robert, what's your take on what happened with He-Man Revelation with Kevin Smith intentionally retconning the characters and story of the OG to push current day politics? Personally, I enjoyed the 2002 reboot more. Yeah, welcome to trouble.
I get asked this a lot. I tried to watch it. I only made it through episode 3 before I shut it off. The animation was good. It was good artwork, but they completely violated what we had established with the characters. They killed He-Man in the first episode, and everybody was more upset over not knowing the secret than over the fact that their son was dead. And Tila has a hissy fit because she wasn't in on the secret, and not that her best friend, near brother growing up, had been killed. And so she goes and runs off and cuts her hair. There was just too many things that were didn't sit right with me at all. So I never finished the series.
Well, I think that says a lot from somebody who worked intensely with the original. We've got Citizen Chat out there for 20. Demon Slayer is coming out on streaming at the end of the month, and it came out in theaters 10 months ago. So would that be the way to do it? Well, if you're confident that you will still have interest in your property after 10 months, then yes. Because guess what? It means that not only do you believe that people still care, but you also know that there wasn't the opportunity for people to say, oh, well, we'll just wait on streaming. It'll be out next month anyway. So yes, but you have to make something that people care about. You think they intended to bring Mando out this fast? No. You think Supergirl was supposed to come out the next month? No. I don't think so. I think that this is them being forced in this position, and unfortunately, He-Man too. Absolutely. Guys, any other thoughts on this one from Citizen Chad? We've got Detail Devil for $4.99. The theaters used to mask screens. Most screens, 185 to 1. So put standard movie or squarish like Obsession, or rarer, 2 to 39 1. So big black bars makes me mad. Detail Devil wants them to use all the real estate on the wall that they can. I hear you, Detail Devil. I disagree with it as well. And I'll tell you this. The only thing that makes me madder is when the curtains don't pull all the way back and there's a tiny sliver of screen on the curtain's edge. Ooh, I don't like that. I don't like that. Kaylee for 5. Doesn't happen often. Odyssey prediction for 5. Long lines for limited IMAX theaters. Claims of victory for higher priced limited ticket sales. $50 is wild for IMAX, but no rewatch. We're going to find out in the second weekend, I'm telling you. The second weekend, here's why it matters so much. The second weekend matters because they are going to decide what to do when Spider-Man arrives. If there's a huge drop-off in the second weekend, it's going to make them a little worried. They're going to say, ooh, better get Spider-Man as many PLFs as we can. If it holds like crazy, they're going to say, oh, we got Avatar and Spider-Man essentially at the same time. Ooh, go. Split it and let's win it with both of them. So the second weekend is going to matter on what these theaters decide to do. Now, I know there's contractual obligations with the Odyssey because it was filmed completely in IMAX. I get that. But that doesn't mean they have no wiggle room whatsoever. They have tons of wiggle room. Second weekend matters. DL Racer for 10. Andy nailed it. Toys foster a level of creativity that cell phones never will. And we have adults now that have grown up glued to their phones and whatever messaging is in it in replace of toys. I would say, I don't know about the girls, but I think for the boys, it's especially damaging to only play with screens. I think there's a kinetic component to growing up, and you need to get out there. To go deeply on purpose, I'll say this. There's a reason that kids, and especially boys, need rough and tumble play. It's because it teaches you boundaries, right? Because you learn in rough and tumble play how far you can go, like how far your body can go in being aggressive, but also you find out, from dad or uncle or grandpa or whoever's playing with you on the floor, you find out, hey, if I kick them in the ribs, suddenly they get me somehow, some little way, because don't be mean to the kid, but you learn things in rough and tumble, and you learn things with tactile play, and I think being on a screen all day is not good for kids. In addition, I would say it's not great to put kids behind a desk for 8 hours and not let them get up and go play. In the states that don't let them go on the playgrounds, shame on them. Shame on them for putting test scores above letting kids go out and go down the slides and play on the swings and all that sort of thing. Because guess what, folks? If you got a obesity epidemic, one thing you might start doing is when they're young saying, go be active. Might be good for their brains too. Andy, I was starting to move on, but listen, you've been celebrated here in the super chat. I think you got to say something about that.
I think a lot of this. My daughter is an elementary school teacher, and it's funny the things that you're seeing happen with parents. I think a lot of parents are being sucked into social media and the phone culture. She's got some little kids in there that the parents are not wanting to buy their kids arts and crafts because of the mess that it'll make, and let them just do that at school. I think it's a detriment to your child, but you have to let them express their creativity. You have to let them explore that, because if you don't let it develop, then it'll never develop, and you'll never have creative people out there. And I think it should be encouraged. I think it's very important in kids' developments to use their imagination to really stretch the bounds of things. I think that toys help that. Toys should be like, you shouldn't just have everything. I mean, I think some of the greatest things, Gary and I have talked about this because we build things and whatnot. When you're a kid and you had to build your own ships out of cardboard and things, think about that. It was like, you didn't just go to the store and pick up, the AT-AT because they weren't really available. And you had to figure out a way to make them, and you had to try things out and fail and try again. That's such great development for kids. And I think looking at some of these younger generations, that's a big problem they have, is they don't know how to fail graciously, pick themselves up and try again.
Absolutely. I want to bring in somebody in the background real quick who he said just wait on him, but I'd like to have him join us. Folks, Lauren Connor's with us. Lauren, welcome aboard, buddy.
Thanks. How you all doing?
Having a great one. Happy to have you here with us. I didn't know, Lauren, I don't know if you've met Robert Lamb before, but Robert, Lauren, Robert.
Pleased to meet you, sir.
Hello, Lauren. Nice to meet you.
Lauren, were you by any chance a He-Man kid? I'm going to put you on the big pressure. Okay, I thought you were. That's why I wanted to bring you on the panel.
Yep. My two major toy lines when I was a kid were He-Man and Transformers, which was right in the same time period. And some of my fondest memories of childhood were getting home from school at the end of the day, watching the cartoon, and then getting down on the floor with my Castle Grayskull and a few of the figures that I had, and trying to tell my dad how he was playing with the figures incorrectly.
Excellent stuff. See, I'm glad that you said you were being very kind, Lauren. You said, just bring me in later. It's okay. I would love to meet Robert Lamb later. And I thought, you know what? I remember. Lauren is a He-Man kid. All right.
I was. I didn't have all of the toys, I did, but the few that I had, I made the most of. So,
Lauren, is there a character or an episode that stands out to you?
I wouldn't say an episode because I loved all of them when I was a kid, but I always loved all of the various designs of Skeletor. Over the years, there have been so many great interpretations of the character, and it's just a fun design. So, also, I think my favorite figure that I owned was Webster for some reason, which I always thought was kind of a cool gimmick for a toy.
Robert, when you were writing, do you have a favorite line that you ever gave Skeletor? Anything that you came up with and said, "Oh, this is funny. Oh, this is going to sound good."
Oh, well, I'll tell you, it was the line I didn't get to use.
Oh, no.
my very first script, I pitched an idea of what would happen if someone fell into the bottomless pit around Castle Grayskull. Maybe landed on a ledge or something, and was there when Adam transformed into He-Man, saw all the power of Grayskull go erupting up in front of them. And so I wanted Teela to be down there. So I had written a draft where Skeletor is trying to get into Castle Grayskull, and they fight, and she ends up falling over the edge, of course, for the commercial break, and we find out she's okay, but she's on a ledge down there. And I had Skeletor get into the Castle Grayskull and is confronted by the sorceress. And, she finds out what happened to Teela, and he quips, "What are you, her mother?" And I loved that line. It made me laugh and everything. It made Arthur, my boss, laugh. But he said, "No, we've had Skeletor try to get into Snake Mountain, get into Castle Grayskull too many times." And I ended up having to take him out, my favorite line, but the script came out even stronger because it actually has no villains in it. It's a rescue story. I had to break Teela's arm because she's a formidable female and she could have gotten out on her own. So I had to break her arm so that He-Man and Man-at-Arms and Orko would go down and rescue her. But she was there to witness all the power of Grayskull when he transforms.
I've got it in my head now. I can't get it out. "What are you, my mother?" Something like that. Retro for 5. It's not about money. It's about sending a message, which that quote is more relevant now than ever and summarizes what the Odyssey and Supergirl are about. Maybe with James Gunn, because that guy seems to be determined to be done. Doge Bout for 2. DL Racer, not a fan of shows or video games. Everything in moderation. That's what I say. Doge again for 2. See also He-Man and She-Ra reboots. Talked about Retro Meister. There you go. Kaylee out for 5. The days of Child World, Caldors, Kmart, Toys R Us, all fighting for exclusive toys to drive foot traffic next to Atari 2600. It was wild. I missed the 80s. Well, I'll tell you, we were just at Southeast Game Exchange, Lauren and I, and it resonated with me. I thought, everybody's getting away from physical media, and you've got thousands of people at this con. And vendor after vendor after vendor selling all these rare toys and gaming systems. I mean, it was crazy to me to see. In fact, I bought an Atari Lynx, but it was crazy to me to see Sega Saturns and Neo Geos and these things that are very rare to see functioning, like new. They had them in the box, right? Some of them still in cellophane. And I thought, in 20 years, we might not be doing this anymore because we're not making physical stuff anymore. And I think that's got to be a fear in toys and everywhere is, this stuff pulls people together. They're willing to get out and go and take a 5-hour, 6-hour, 10-hour trip sometimes to go and be around other people who love the stuff, because it's not just about seeing these action figures and objects. It's about being around a community that loves it in the same way that, a car auction is fine, but you get 1,000 car enthusiasts at the car auction and suddenly you got something special. Anyway, just my 2 cents on that.
Well, let me interject on that one. I'm going to be a featured guest at PowerCon Motu Fest in September in the greater Cincinnati area, and it is a toy and cartoon love fest. And there are going to be toy designers there, the Four Horsemen and a bunch of others. Lots of toys. Lots of He-Man memorabilia, and it's in mid-September, I think, the 12th and 13th.
If we can get a link to that, I would love to share that out. I just tried to find it real quick, but I don't have the URL. If anybody's got the link for that, I would love to get that on the screens. We'll try to do that in just a few. We'll keep going for right now, but Lauren, can you help me out with that, please? See if we can get Cincinnati Motu Fest. Is that what we said?
It's called... if you go to thepowercon.com.
PowerCon. Okay. All right. We'll get that on the screen in just a minute. Hang tight, folks. We'll get there. All right. We've got Chris out there dropping 158. I believe that's, I'm not 100% sure on the denomination, on the currency, but I want to say a thank you for the 158. And Chris, if you intended to send a message with that, please let our mods know We don't want that to go without the message you intended. So if you did mean to send a message, let our mods know. We'll get it up on the screen. We'll fix it for you. And if you sent it just as a kind gift, we say a kind thank you right in return. Paul 12,000 for 2. Floral's done with us. I'm here now. Hello, all. Well, you got that Wilton funk on you. R.R. Smith for 5. It is really important to me that you know He-Man was an excellent boyfriend for Barbie. Better than Ken ever even thought about being. Absolutely. All right, we've got the link here. Okay, let's get this up on the screen, ladies and gentlemen, so you can join Mr. Lamb. Right here it is. We've got PowerCon. I'll move the super chat so that we can see that. Let's see. There we go. All right, PowerCon is coming up real soon. And let's see what we got here. September 12th and 13th in the greater Cincinnati area. It says, be sure to join us in September for Motu Fest. And Robert, you're going to be a special guest here at this one?
Yes.
Any panels that you'll be doing there?
Yes, I'll be doing a panel on a fan film that my wife and I actually wrote for a production company. And there's going to be some previews of that. It's principal photography has been shot and now doing some post work on it.
Fantastic. That is great stuff. All right, folks, go check out the website, PowerCon, Motu Fest. If you are in the Rust Belt, and we don't mean to say the Rust Belt in a negative way, we're just saying if you're in Indiana, if you're in Ohio, if you're in Illinois, get over there and have a good time and make some noise, please. And to our friends in that state, they're yelling at me right now. Get it right, pro. I made a joke out of it, okay? And not a joke at your expense. Doge Pal for 2. I gave up toys and crafts. Is something wrong with me? Well, maybe. But not that. But maybe that. Blah, 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 blah has gifted 440 gems for an Unk alert. One day I'll understand this thing. Thank you, blah, blah, blah. We've got Tanker out there dropping $10 and saying, I have a Korean friend immigrating here because he doesn't want his kid in Korean education. I was stationed there and would come back to base on a train at midnight and see the kids studying. Taking those studies with importance, I say, is a big part of being successful in life. It's all part of delayed gratification. But I would say even more than the stuff that you know is knowing the stuff you don't know and using critical thinking to figure out what to do. Retromeister for 5. To Robert's point, the artwork was done by the guy who did 2 of my favorites, Jackie Chan Adventures and the 2004 Batman, which is criminally underrated. Thank you, Retromeister. And for 10, also, Pro earlier just mentioned the plot of the villain from Recess, School's Out, who wants to use geoengineering via moving the moon in order to force kids to study in order to have higher test scores. It seems a little bit of a difficult way to do that, but you know what? Hey, I appreciate the effort. Might be the next Despicable Me. Big Blob Productions for 10. To what degree do you think pushing the message at the studio's detriment is the studio execs doing, or a sizable number of wokies twisting their arms? I would say, and I'd love to hear the panel's thoughts on this, maybe Gary, you'd be the right kind of guy to answer it, but I would say it depends on the studio and it depends on the distributor. I think like Disney is actually having, an internal disagreement. I think Wall Street wants them to get out of it. I think Dana Walden, who's in charge of everything creative, wants them right in the middle of it. And I think every studio is having this sort of tug of war. I think James Gunn wants to be in the message. And I think that the Ellisons probably don't want James Gunn to be in that. Gary, what are your thoughts as somebody who's around the industry?
Yeah, that's correct. There's a lot of people that don't want the message being pushed, and they're basically being held hostage, as well as all the profits and great stories that could be told, because this is definitely an illness, and it's within that bubble, that bubble here in this state, and it's got to die. We have to have a cure for it, because man, it's never going to go away if we don't eradicate this virus.
Gary, I don't know what state you're in. It looks like you're in a spaceship. I'm convinced you're trying to reveal the UFO files anytime now. We've got Retromeister for 5 out there. Says, and he arrogantly believes the teachers and parents would be happy, thus becoming the next president of the U.S. Recess is freedom. Without it, it's tyranny. Recess is really important for the social interactions that are gained there and for learning how to play and form appropriate hierarchies. You might say, well, hierarchies are bad, right? Well, no, hierarchies are important and necessary, and you form those in any kind of team sport, but you also form those in organic play, whether it's at the swings, right? Somebody has to push the kid, somebody has to get in the swing. If you're swinging, somebody has to decide, well, how far are we going to jump this time? And kids learn, oh, well, this kid can't jump that far. I'm going to be an empathic participant. I'm not going to jump as far as I can, or I'm going to be the jerk and nobody wants to play with me anymore. Like, there's all this stuff happening at recess, and it might not be scored on a test, but I guarantee you it matters later in life. Tubular bra. They call him a brazier. For 199, doing what I can to meet the goal. Sir, you are our goal. And blah, 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 blah for 5, in more ways than one. Lauren will get that joke in just a minute. For 5, to clarify, the Uncle Alert was for Uncle Lorne coming on. Uncle Lorne?
News to me, but hi.
There you go, Uncle Lorne. All right, folks. Gary is getting ready to drop out of orbit. Gary, come back. Don't get on the escape pod. Folks, we got to say we're going to have, Mr. Lamb getting in the escape pod. Robert, it's been a great time having you on. I want to thank you for joining us, and I hope that we can get you on again. And please, please, please let us know when you go to the conference and send us some of the material. We'd love to have video, if it's okay, of you on the panel. Anything like that, we would love to signal boost you both here and on the website, thatparkplace.com, as well as geeksandgamers.com. We want to help you in any way we can because you're just such a great guy and you're doing the right things, all the way through and even up until now with all the things you do. So thank you, sir.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I'll do what I can to get you this stuff.
We would love it. We'd love to say, go, Robert, go. And Mr. Lamb, from me to you, I'll just say it was an honor to meet you in person. And you're the kind of guy that everybody would like to get to meet and shake hands with at least one time. Who knows, maybe two. Mr. Lamb, thank you again, sir.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you real soon.
Okay.
All right, folks, we'll get Gary back in just a minute. So I want to get the password that's flashing on that little screen he's got back there. Do we know, did he steal one of the rooms from the Galactic Star Cruiser? Is that what's going on here?
That's
folks,
much
here we
better
go.
than the Galactic Star Cruiser.
It is way better. It's probably more comfortable, too. Let's go through the gems. BlinkCon dropped some sparkles. We've got one magical spark dropping the sparkles and gold coins. Thank you so much. BlinkCon again with gold coins. We got more sparkles. We got more sparkles. We got more. We got a thumbs up and another thumbs up. And Ken Reihart out there doing the same with the sparkles. All right, folks, we love the gems. YouTube loves the gems. Thank you for participating with the gems. Gentlemen, it's time. We need to talk about this Odyssey thing. And you don't have to have seen the film to weigh in on what is going on here. Lauren, you've not seen the film. Gary, you've not seen the film. Andy, have you seen the Odyssey?
Yes, I've seen the Odyssey.
I've seen the Odyssey. Andy, I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. I said it was 2 hours of a slog to get to a John Wick story. And then they kind of flip it at the end in a way that I didn't care for. But I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I said it was meh. Andy, where did you land with it?
There were certain parts that I could appreciate with it. I liked some elements of it, but overall, it kind of fell apart. I was a big fan of Greek mythology growing up. We had an Edith Hamilton mythology book that we'd read over and over again. Plus, back then, you had the Hercules cartoon and everything when I was young. So I was pretty familiar with the source material. And this is definitely not really the Odyssey. It's definitely Emily Watson / Christopher Nolan's Odyssey. There's no one heroic in it. There's no one who's really nothing really stands out. I see when you compare this next to Troy, and Troy's not a great movie, but at least it's fun and exciting. And you see the work that they did for it. You see the shape that Brad Pitt got into it, and you watch. I'm literally watching Matt Damon shoot a bow and arrow, and I swear it reminded me of the scene of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, where the king's son picks up the bow and arrow, writes the note on it, goes like this out the window, and shoots the arrow, and it shoots one of the bearers. It's like that was he's doing this. Like he didn't even spend any time with an archery coach to learn how to use a bow. You didn't make it look, and then it's so dark at the end. Like you got this big, it might have been Game of Thrones, that big epic battle that was in the dark that nobody could see. I didn't care for the fact that, all the men were like kind of, nobody was heroic, but all the women were just about perfect. I mean, even the witch that turns all the men into pigs. It's like, she's just misunderstood, had a bad day. So that's why she just turned everybody into pigs. There's no ramifications. Calypso, in the original myth, has to be commanded by Zeus himself. It takes 3 gods getting in there. It takes Athena going to Hermes, to Zeus, to command her, and she still drags her feet to finally release Odysseus. But in this, it's just like, well, I just needed to help you get through your PTSD. And then, of course, we have the heroic Anne Hathaway, being Penelope. And I grew up on the Kirk Douglas Ulysses show movie from 1954. And that final scene was so epic and so incredible. It was just, and to see Kirk Douglas in that kind of shape, and he was probably about 40 years, 40, 50 years old at the time. Great movie. The Armand Assante one is much better than this. But the thing that really brought me right out of it was the modern American English that they're speaking. And John Bernthal, I mean, he's just like, he's probably doing his best Stallone impression there. Like, yeah, we went to Troy and my name's Menelaus and I had to go and like get my wife back. Isn't that right, Ani? Sorry about that. Cut a scar across your face there. Like, and then like some of those, it was just so long. There were some elements that I enjoyed, but for the most part, I mean, how do you take the Mediterranean, make it look gray and dull? I mean, that's like looking at the North Atlantic. It's like you're watching this thing and it's not popping with the color. It's not, and listen, maybe I'm being hypercritical because I am such a fan of the original source material, but I was not impressed. Something I didn't think was horrible. I think some of the performances were pretty good. I don't think that it was overbearing on like, shoving like, wokeness in front of your face. I think it was a little bit more insidious because it's more subtle. But it's, I didn't find it terribly offensive or anything, but it was just boring. I kept waiting for the end because I know how the story plays out, and I'm waiting for that climactic fight scene, and it seemed to be. I was expecting it about 25 minutes before it actually happened. Like, oh, good, at least we're going. I'm looking at my watch. I'm like, well, I still have more time before this thing. And then at the very end, the whole climactic. Are we doing spoilers or?
Go for it.
Wait for that, Andy.
It's a 3,000-year-old text. I mean, they retconned it, but
Well, like, look, I'm a parent. Okay, you haven't seen your son through his whole life. You left you as a baby. You come back and he's an adult. The first thing you do is leave your son because you got to go like pay your respects to your crew. So we have to go to an island out west. You know what? Your crew is still going to be dead in a year. That's not going to change. You haven't seen your son. You haven't gotten to know your son. Your son doesn't know you. But you got to take off again. I'm going to make you king and leave.
Yeah, it's not well thought out. Andy, the other thing about it that I didn't like, and you tell me what you think about it, and then we'll get into the story here because the Hollywood, what would you say? The activists think they have defeated the mainstream. They believe that the Russian bots, the trolls, the Last Jedi haters, the Ghostbusters 2016 critics, they think they've defeated them. They think the audience out there is defeated. Everybody watching this show is absolutely crumpled. That's how they see this. This is what the moment they see. We'll talk about that in just a second, but I'm curious what you thought about, having seen the film. I think Odysseus is a bad guy. And I think they retcon this. The white guy, Greek guy, Odysseus is the bad guy. He's the bad guy because he's the one who broke, in the film, he's the one who breaks Zeus's law. He's the one who does the Trojan horse, and the Trojan horse is bad, and it causes all the people to be wiped out in Sparta. And to punctuate that, Zendaya, she's actually not playing a goddess. She's playing a trauma ghost. She is a young girl who was killed in the battle for Sparta. She's killed by the evil soldiers with Odysseus, under Odysseus' control. She's killed by them, and she is haunting Odysseus, and he's a bad guy. This is a total retcon. This is a retcon, and it's anti-dude, and they're missing this. I don't see how people are missing this. Did you catch on to that? This Sixth Sense effort to make the patriarchy bad again?
Well, I think the biggest problem with it is that in Greek mythology, the gods are idiots. They're jerks. They're like they toy with people and do whatever they want and force you into these situations, which is basically how the whole Trojan War got started. And a lot of the stuff that you're seeing is manipulation. And look, you're at war and you have to end the war. Your job is to end the war. And it's like if you sit there and analyze the morality of warfare, well, you're going to have to go back an awful long way. But yeah, he's punishing himself as the bad guy. And by extension, he's making the audience not like him because he's a bad guy, because he did these things, which is what happens when you win a war, especially back, 3,000 years ago when people were, I don't want to say more barbaric because I can see people pretty barbaric now, but it's just the way it was. It's like you can't take the gods out of the story and have it make any sense. That's part of the epic thing. It's what makes
and the gods are out of the story. The gods are not in the story. Right. So he wants to make it not mythological, but then he leaves in the Cyclops because he's stuck because the Cyclops is part of the story. Anyway, folks, it's time to get underway. They think they've defeated you. Hollywood thinks that they have completely defeated you, and I want to talk about it. We're going to talk about the mess this has created and why some on our side, and by our side, I mean the people who say, hey, we want to protect stories, we want to protect storytelling, we want to get away from divisive stuff. Some on our side got tricked by this. They walked straight into the trap. We'll tell you what's going on right now. The Odyssey just might be Hollywood's Trojan horse that's tricking conservatives and centrists into stepping in line with them, and they're having a great time. They think they've defeated you. Did you not like Ghostbusters 2016? Did you despise The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker? Well, let me tell you, Hollywood thinks they've figured out the formula to tricking you into going and seeing their stuff. Wired is taking a pell-mell parade. John Simley says the Odyssey backlash failed tremendously. You all know about the backlash, right? You remember the ratios, the 10-to-1 negative thumbs downs? It says, for all the hysteria over woke casting and ahistorical choices, Christopher Nolan's epic is on track to make $200 million globally. During its opening weekend, it made $250, $260, by the way. Outdid even what Wired thought. We called it, though. We said it was going to have a huge weekend. We told you the whole way. None of this surprises us. What might be surprising to me is how badly some of our buddies are being tricked. But don't think for a moment that the woke media is missing what's happening. They're excited. Them.us says from Quispe Lopez. Go woke, go broke. The Odyssey sails to massive opening weekend despite racist, transphobic backlash. The anti-DEI crowd claimed the casting of Elliot Page and Lupita Nyong'o would sink the film. And now they're celebrating. They're saying, no, that didn't happen, see. Now, you all know, and by the way, look at the names they're calling you. Look at the names they're calling the mainstream out there, okay? Folks, they want you to believe what I have been trying to tell you to see, and that is, don't be deceived by this. This film, the tickets are 50% higher. If you were to take the 50% away, what do we figure out? This thing opens to like 89 million domestically, right? 100 million internationally. That's fine. That's great. That's good. But it's not what we're seeing here. And can it sustain that? I don't know. But the other side is celebrating. They are so freaking excited that they seemingly have defeated their critics. Finally, after a decade, they've defeated you. Matt Walsh says this. Says, I have not seen the Odyssey yet, so I can't give my final verdict on it. All I will say is that these, quote, actually the movie isn't woke, unquote, takes from conservatives strike me as implausible. And this is really interesting to me because Matt Walsh is going out on a ledge here. Remember, his boss, Ben Shapiro, loves the film. He says, casting a self-mutilatified person identifying as female as a male warrior is one of the wokest things any mainstream film director has ever done in a movie. By any objective measure, it's hard to imagine any context that could somehow make that choice not woke. Okay, just reporting here, folks, just telling you what we're seeing out there. By the way, he did see it. He said, just saw the Odyssey. Despite what you may have heard, literally all of the criticisms by conservatives were entirely correct. You can go read it and see what he has to say, but he's basically saying, hey, this is a huge problem. And here's what I've said. He says, but even worse than that is Nolan's decision to turn Odysseus into an anachronistic, whiny, solemn shell of a man plagued by trauma and guilt. Because he's the bad guy. But I want you to see this fight that's going on right now. Kyle Becker says, those who are raving about this film as some kind of broadside against conservatives need to make it clear if the Odyssey is a great film or propaganda. It cannot be both. I kind of agree with that, eh?
Mm-hmm.
You got Vanity Fair saying the Odyssey's epic box office haul breaks the go broke myth. This is what they believe. This is the narrative that's coming out of this. Nick Gillespie says before the Odyssey came out, conservatives were crapping the bed over a Black Helen of Troy and the presence of the artist formerly known as Page. Now they are falling all over themselves, praising its conservative values. And why, folks? Why are they doing that? Because they see this big number and they don't know that the ticket sales, the butts and seats, don't match this big number. I mean, it does, but it's because it's being driven by IMAX. And we don't know if it's going to get to the numbers that it needs to even break even. We don't know that yet. And yet, the influencer crowd, they are such a bunch of ninnies. Now, I'm not saying Ben Shapiro's this way, but some of these people are such, like, they will go where the wind blows. Whatever they are told to say, whatever they think their audience needs, they want to be on the popular side. And so they are freaking out and they're jumping to a side that might not be what they think it is. You need to understand what the other side's saying. Gary, I want to get you in on this. Art Tavana says, conservatives are too busy being racist about the Odyssey to focus on Moana, and it is still, by all accounts, one of the worst reviewed Disney live-action flops of all time. Basically, listen, the other side is laughing at the people in the middle and the people on the right. They're laughing at them. They're laughing at the folks like us who say mainstream, middle, sensible center, Gary, because they think they've got to win. Gary, I wonder what are your thoughts about the contentiousness about this film and some on the right not realizing what this film means to the left. And it seems like this is a Trojan horse. It's a trap. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that could be. I mean, just basic numbers. We're at what, 264 right now. So what is that? 51% of that is going back to the studio. How much do they have to clear to make to break even on this? What, 700 million?
750 is what they need to break even. And we're including the knowledge that half of it will go back to Uncle Sam in the theaters. So 750 is what they need. It's a 3X they have to get. And Gary, the difficulty in this, and they could do it, right? But remember, they don't just want to break even. They want to get an ROI that is more than the market. Otherwise, you just should have dumped all this money in a mutual fund somewhere. But Gary, the difficulty they have is they're going up against Spider-Man in 2 weeks. That's the challenge here.
Yeah, I think they're celebrating a little too early, but that's what they do. I if this movie was fantastic and wonderful, I would love that. And I would, say that I thought that it was. I haven't seen it yet, and I am not looking forward to seeing it. I'm going to have to. But yeah, I'm certainly not going to, I'll just tell it. I'll tell it like it is. So you're saying there's people out there that are backpedaling on what they said about the movie because they think that the movie is doing better just because of these kind of like propaganda articles that they're putting out.
That is exactly right. What I think is happening here is I think that some, not all, but a significant portion of the conservative commentators, one, when a Ben Shapiro or a Jonathan Pajot, when they come out and they say, I liked it, that opens the door for these other conservative commentators to say, oh, maybe I need to like it too.
Yeah.
Because they don't actually say things they believe. And then when they see the numbers from the box office, I believe if they could easily see that it flopped, they'd be hammering it right now. Right. Gary, I think we are seeing yet again that the commentator class is insufficient for the moment. They go where the wind blows and they don't actually have thoughts of their own.
Yeah, that's low. Yeah, that's disappointing that they're doing that because this movie sounds like the wokest thing ever made. I really, the casting alone is just it's making me dread wanting to go to this movie, and you guys all telling me that it was boring and almost 3 hours long. I'm really not looking forward to it, but wow. Yeah, what a Trojan horse of a movie.
There you go. Andy, your thoughts on the battle right now, and conservatives seemingly, especially the top, not understanding. The left is throwing the confetti right now. They're so excited. They see this as a momentous achievement for their side. The right doesn't seem to be understanding the psychological part of this.
I think it's actually a good thing because it shows that side doesn't have a hive mind. There's a lot of disagreement. Like you got Dave Rubin who enjoyed it. You have Ben Shapiro who says he enjoyed it, and like it's people will disagree on this. I mean, I look at things like Nolan can't. I think it's doing so well because it's a Nolan film. People will go see Nolan because Nolan's got a good track record of doing good films, taking chances and making something interesting with it. However, I think he's a bit of a hypocrite when he says things like he wanted authenticity and he wanted all this, when you get the very diverse group of Greeks, which people didn't get around as much as they do these days. What travel and environmental things were, diseases, things like that, were very hard to get people traveling and being able to exist in a different part of the world because you weren't used to the things that were there. 30,000 years ago, the world was just not like this, but now I think that Nolan just did this for Oscar worthiness. And people can say, yeah, he's already won an Oscar. People in Hollywood, there's no such thing as too much fame and too much money. There's no such thing as like, oh, I've got enough, I'm going to just step off to the side now. If that were the case, then Spielberg wouldn't have done Disclosure Day trying to go back to the well again. There's too much of this stuff inside there for any other reason to just get another Oscar for him, because he hit all the boxes that you have to tick to qualify for the boxes. I mean, watching Elliot Page run in that armor through sand look like a toddler, like on the beach with his little pail and shovel. Like it completely takes you out of it. Like I said earlier with the Matt Damon not knowing how to shoot a bow and arrow. These are things that you should do if you want to make a movie like this. And he's went out of his way. He didn't do it with Dunkirk. He made Dunkirk look pretty much authentic, the way Dunkirk should have looked during World War II. But this is a different story. So I think that there's some sleight of hand going on here. Now, you look at the other movies that have done so well with IMAX theaters like Avatar. But we know that Avatar made so much money because people were so enthralled with the spectacle of it, they were willing to go back multiple times to see that on the big screen. I don't think that this is going to, I could be wrong, I don't think this is going to have those kind of legs where people are willing to go spend $25 a ticket to go see a 3-hour long movie they've already seen.
I think it's going to have a huge Monday. I think it's going to have a huge Tuesday. The Monday and the Tuesday are because this is primarily seen as an event film on IMAX, and IMAX seating is limited. So the people who, there are lots of people who still couldn't get into an IMAX, and they're working to do that. The second weekend is going to matter more than any other movie that I can remember, because it's going to decide how many PLFs it gets in the third weekend with Spider-Man. And in order for this film to break even and top the $750 million, it's going to have to take on Spider-Man and be just fine. And Spider-Man is going to be a juggernaut. Now, Lauren, I'd like to ask you about this. We've got the thing up here, Fox News review. Ignore the woke rumors. Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey is a must-see. Isn't it interesting that Fox is telling you that? Ignore the woke rumors. Emerald Apple says The Odyssey has to succeed according to the powers that be. Even many conservatives are now heavily pushing the movie. And it goes on to talk about the things that they disagree with, the race swaps, gender swaps, etc. The things that we've traditionally said, hey, this is a problem, especially when it's at large and part of a broader context. But Lauren, what's fascinating to me is I think this is going to be used by the woke. It's actually insufficient when I say the right and left on this, because I don't think that postmodern neo-Marxists, the woke, are part of the left. I think there's something completely different, and they should be the enemy, I think, of conservatives and classical liberals. The woke right now, Lauren, they're going to take this as the evidence to pitch to Hollywood. It's okay. You can Ghostbusters 2016 again. These critics of yours, they have no power. That's what they're going to do. They're going to use this film to pitch that. And they're doing it off the idea that this is a cultural phenomenon, when in fact, we're just looking at crazy movie prices for this. And folks who love Christopher Nolan movies go in the first few days and saying, I'll pay $25 to see it in the best format possible. The story isn't written yet, Lauren, But already I think the conservatives are falling for this, where they're being part of a movement that's going to try to hijack Hollywood again. Your thoughts?
So I think that's what they're going to try to do. I think that's why they're writing all of those stories right now, is they're trying to create momentum to keep the ticket sales up through the second weekend. And we don't know what story is going to be written. We don't know what kind of legs this movie is going to have yet. But part of the reason that you're getting these conservative commentators and these conservative writers that are saying, forget about it being woke, this is a thing that you have to see, is because they are so desperate not to be tarred with all of the normal appellations that are given people on the right. I think the
Good
reason
point.
that we're having these reactions to this, and remember, I'm going to be totally honest here, I have not seen the movie, so I can't comment on the quality of the movie from direct knowledge. What I can do is pay attention to what the filmmaker himself has said, what the talent have said, and what people that I trust have told me about the movie that they have seen. And I would say that my analysis of the story as written by Homer is that it is a warning against hubris. It is a lesson that faithfulness is eventually rewarded, and it's also a warning that hospitality has limits, lest you be eaten out of your house and home. What Christopher Nolan appears to have done is cut out many of the elements that were illustrating Odysseus's hubris. You told me today, I was shocked to discover that they completely cut out the plot point of Odysseus yelling to the Cyclops that Odysseus, was the one who had done this thing, not nobody, as in the text. That was to illustrate his hubris. That was what caused a lot of his troubles there, was that Odysseus was prideful. Christopher Nolan has gone out and said that what a lot of the movie is about is that we should be kind to the foreigner and the stranger, when what was happening within Odysseus's house is that all of these people were taking advantage of him and his household and eating them out of their substance. That is all relevant information through the ages. That's why the story has survived. When you cut those elements out, you subvert the message of the story. It's the same thing that they did with Star Wars. It's the same thing they did with Indiana Jones. It's the same thing that they've done with every popular property that they want to co-opt and subvert to their message. It is overtly political. That is why we're having the reaction to this. It's not about being racist. It's not about being transphobic. It's because the themes of the story have been corrupted. You can do that. You're allowed to do that. You're an artist. This is your interpretation. But I stand by the fact that if you're going to do that, you call it Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey.
So we've got this now. Forbes is weighing in, Gary, and Forbes says, from Eric Kane, The Odyssey backlash is another ridiculous example of the culture wars placing politics above art. And again, I think this is because the media loves to be on the right side of the audience. And they're not catching on quickly enough that these numbers are inflated by the price of tickets, and it doesn't represent a ton of people going to see this. Like, we're barely above the number of butts and seats for Mandalorian Grogu. But the cost of the ticket is 50% higher than Mando and Grogu. Let me show this to you. It says, if you thought the ancient war between the Trojans and the Greeks was epic and bloody, you should see the culture war currently being waged over Christopher Nolan's new adaptation of the Odyssey. Goes on to talk about some blah, blah, blah. The first controversy surrounding the film focused on its armor. Then it says that controversy, which felt more consigned to wannabe history buffs looking for YouTube clicks, soon extended the film's long ships. Then it goes to talk about realism and authenticity. Then it goes on to talk about race swaps, gender swaps, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It says Helen of Troy starts yet another pointless war. Basically, what this is saying is all the stuff, everything that people have been saying, hey, we don't want to do this anymore. We don't want to retcon, recast, reconfigure these stories. It's all a bunch of nonsense, and none of this matters. And I think it's coming from folks who they think that because of this movie, suddenly everything has shifted. And I don't believe that's true. That goes against everything, Gary, we've seen with Supergirl, everything that we've seen with Mandalorian Grogu, everything we've seen with so many films year after year after year. I don't think that suddenly this just changed. I think the answer is far more simple, and everybody right now is losing their minds, not paying attention to it.
Yeah, that entire article that you just showed is complete projection, because we're just trying to point out, how we want a good story. And all of a sudden, the movie does a little bit of business in its first weekend, and then all these articles are bombarding everybody about how wrong half of the audience was, which is obnoxious.
It's a shame game, Gary. It's a mass shaming.
Yeah, exactly. Before the numbers are even in. And
it's the first time they've had a shot to do this. Every other time it goes kablooey in their faces. This time they jacked the ticket prices up by 50%, and now they got the headlines they want. They got the numbers they want to do this shame game.
Yeah, temporarily they do. I don't even think they know anything about math. But I mean,
they don't believe in real numbers.
Yeah. I mean, another ridiculous example of the culture wars. What was the name of the article?
Let's see. From Forbes, it's the Odyssey backlash is another ridiculous example of the culture wars placing politics above art, which is what the left does every time.
Above art. Yeah. Would you say it would be the wackos that are on YouTube calling this stuff out, or the people that are making this garbage?
Right. We call for listen, over and over, Gary, we say, go back to the mainstream middle, the sensible center where money is made. And over, the left says, no, we want to change everything. We want to invert it. They want to subvert your expectations. And then they get furious when the market doesn't go along with what they say. This time, they've managed to figure out a strategy. And kudos to them, by the way. They figured out how to get big numbers in the first weekend. We'll see how it plays out over the long run. Maybe every blockbuster needs to be an IMAX. Actually, the whole thing is filmed for IMAX. Maybe this is a winning strat. I don't know. Andy, I'll give you the final word on it. You've seen the film along with me. I don't hate it. I don't love it. But I also think that, when you see the artist formerly known as Page, it pulls you out of the movie. It's ridiculous. Ben Shapiro describes that as a pebble in the sandal kind of thing. It's annoying, right? But it's not a big deal. I think it is a big deal. I think, Andy, when suddenly you've been watching the whole movie and all of a sudden in a Greek film, there's an Asian guy just shows up. There's an Asian guy. An Asian guy jumps out of the boat and swims to the sirens. You're like, well, how about that? There's an Asian guy here the whole time. I didn't know it. Now he's gone. I think all that stuff's just silly. And I don't think we should accept it. I think we should say, this is bizarre. This is just, it's obvious pandering and tokenism. Your thoughts, Andy?
It's funny that they don't complain the other way. It's like if they say if it doesn't matter, then why would it matter if you stuck to an authentic cast? I saw references being made to Mel Gibson's Apocalypto, where he took a completely authentic cast for a completely authentic Mayan story. And of course, that's Mel Gibson, and they don't like him anymore unless he's making the money somehow. This whole thing is, if they really believed what they say, then they wouldn't be looking for representation only when it comes into one sort of culture. I mean, we've got Anne Boleyn, we've got the other the Vikings that they did this with, but yet we had Wakanda, and there were no Irish in Wakanda. Doing the whole this with their beers, with their Guinness on their hands. So the hypocrisy is a little too much, and I think most people are aware of it. Again, Nolan can do this because he's Nolan, and people are going to see it because he's Nolan. But there's nothing memorable about this film. There's nothing. It's not going to be one of these things that I don't think that people are going to go back to over and over again. And when they think of Christopher Nolan, it's going to be up there with The Prestige and Inception, to something.
Yeah, it's nowhere close. Nowhere close. It's way, way too long. It's a 6.5 out of 10 from me. Andy, what would you give it if you gave it a score 0 out of 10?
I would give it a 5.5. And mostly if it were an hour shorter, I probably would have liked it more.
Yeah, same thing. I could have done without the first 2 hours of the film. Honestly, I think if you came in 2 hours late, you're going to see a pretty all right film. I think it's much better in the third act, which is an hour and 15 minutes, and that's a full-blown movie, so have at that, eh? Folks, this is the story, though. You need to understand the woke, not the left. I keep saying the left, and I'm going to correct myself. I've been wrong in doing that. The woke, not the left, because the classical liberals, we love those people. We got to have people on the liberal side and the conservative side to have a society. You got to have people who are pushing for change. You got to have people who are pushing for traditions, and then they battle it out, they duke it out, right? And then that way, Some stuff gets changed and other stuff gets saved. That's good. That's how it's always worked throughout history. Okay. But the woke people, totally different thing. They don't believe in truth with a capital T. They don't believe in facts. They don't believe in objectivity. They believe in power. Those people, the wokies, they're celebrating this. They think they defeated everybody else out there. They're excited. They're ready to pitch this to Hollywood to say, go, 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 do more of this. And unfortunately, those on our side are not figuring this out. They better figure it out, because I think they're going to lose some of their audiences, as I believe in the wisdom of the mainstream. I believe that average people out there are going to look and say, I think our influencers are confused right now, and they're going to find somebody who's telling them the truth. Hopefully, folks, we're doing a good job of that. We'll keep at it. We love folks like Dave Rubin. We love folks like Ben Shapiro. But if I had to put my guess on who's going to win this one, looks like Matt Walsh has it right this time on this movie. Boy, oh boy, I think we've sparked a conversation out there. Let's get to it. Here we go. Full McGruffle the Crime Dog has sent in 400 gems. It's an Eggle. An Eggle, right? That's how Chris pronounces it. Eggle. We've got a silver star coming in. We've got some chilies from Ken Reihart. Thank you, BlinkCon Pro and Ken Reihart, for that. And then BlinkCon Pro dropping another chili out in the chat. Chili chat today. Blah, 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 blah for 5. One more clarification. Uncle Learn. Learn?
I also run a Leering Center.
True that. Papa Pro. Cousin Eddie. I think you mean Cousin Larry. Neighbor Gary. Because as you say, Pro, we're family here. Endless Pasta. Olive Garden. Bring your ID. Synchronicity is out there dropping some more chili. We got Ken Hart with some party hats. BlinkCon Pro dropping a party hat. Chili, silver stars, and sparkles. Folks, I don't know what any of this means, but I like it. Thank you so much. And look at this. Chris dropping a magnificent 2,500 gems with a bravo. Bravo to you. Thank you, BlinkCon Pro, as well.
Are we smugglers or pirates now? What is this?
Lauren, I'm going to be honest with you. We're going to figure out how to handle this in the future. We don't know yet how YouTube is, what they've done to us, but like stickers, these are something different.
If we're rich, woohoo!
I'm going to come back to this. I can't believe who I see right now. Do my eyes deceive me? That's what we've got to figure out. Do my eyes deceive me? Or do I see the myth, the man, the legend? Lauren, who was that again? Who was that masked man who showed up out there?
It appeared to be the Mexican Iron Man.
Our friend, our amigo, the guy that we go to when times are tough, when we need to know what's up in entertainment. Was that guy?
It sure looked like him.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure. We'll go back to that guy in just a minute.
Did he jump out a window?
I hope not. I hope not. That's not this channel. That's a different channel. Okay. I tell you what. I'm willing to give it another go. It was so shocking to me because we love Mexican Iron Man and he's out there in the chat. Let's see again. This one? Wait, that's not Mexican Iron. Hang on a second. Till the 10th for 2. They're conflating anomaly with reversal. Yeah, and let's see if it's still anomaly after the next week. I got a feeling. All right, let's see if we got this again. Folks, we do. And it is. It's the rabbit chicken taco man himself.
We have waited for months, mis amigos. Finally, the hero has arrived. It is the hombre of legend. Look.
He's a man, he's a man, he's a mic of a man. Everyone be a fan of Mexican Iron Man.
It is Mexican Iron Man, our amigo superior out there. Mike, we got to get you on the show real soon. Member for 39 months. Mike has been a fan since the beginning, and we love Mexican Iron Man. Nolan should direct the Mexican Iron Man story. I hope we've inspired him with that. What's that said again, Andy?
Until you see who gets cast as Mexican Iron Man.
Oh, Lupita Nyong'o. I don't know. It could be Peter Dinklage. You never know, right?
Yeah.
Could be Peter Dinklage. I'll go for it.
I thought that chicken tacos were better than the rest.
Are you ready for perfect, authentic Mexican cooking just like your mama used to make? Come on down to Mexican Iron Man's Rabbit Chicken Tacos and Lawn Care Services, where not only do you get the freshest in Mexican cuisine, but you also get a fresh cut lawn. And don't forget to check out our second location, wherever the police have not yet run the van away from.
Mexican Iron Man, rabbit chicken tacos, lawn care services.
And if you think the cilantro tastes very fresh, it's no accidente, amigo.
You know, folks, that is the first thing that we ever made like that for the show, and it shows. It doesn't even fill the entire screen. We had no idea what we were doing. Thank you, Mike. Love you, hermano. Blah, 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 blah is out there for 5. Just 5 more for the goal. Let's go. And, folks, we are really close to that goal. Really, really close. Let's hit it. And then I'll tell you what I think the Odyssey is going to do. We'll get some folks out there on the panel to tell you what we think it'll do by the time it's finished with its run. Logan Misiak is out there for 5. Honestly, the best scenes in the Odyssey is when they're on the water. Very breathtaking scenery. That is true. Other than that, the film is a 5 out of 10 for me. That's what normies are saying. That's what the average person is saying. And folks, the average people turn out not to be so average. Wise indeed. Walter Tomaszewski is out there giving 10 gems and a gold coin. Douglas Nutt. Probably better, he says, for 2 if Fraudowski was defenestrated. Lauren, can you decombobulate this for me, please?
Fraudacy.
The Fraudacy was defenestrated. And Lauren, for those who don't know, as the thesaurus that you are, what does defenestrated mean?
I believe it means to remove all the skin, but let me double check real quick.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Which means to throw or force someone or something out of a window. So there we go.
Lauren, before I go to the next super chat, could you share with us, we've spent a lot of time with Culture Casino the last few days. Is that correct?
Yes, we have.
We have discovered there are words this man says that we never knew we never knew.
He has an odd combination of regional dialect accents that he's sort of thrown into a hodgepodge stew of speech. It is fascinating.
Lauren, where is Culture Casino from? We're allowed to say.
I know where he's from currently. I don't know if he's always lived there, but he's in Arizona.
Okay, he's from Arizona. When Culture Casino goes to the gas station, where does he say he's headed?
To get some petrol.
Lauren, when Culture Casino was faced with a dangerous climate issue, what was it that he said was coming for him while he was on the perch of his greenhouse?
Can we say that?
We're going to.
A haboob.
Say that again, please. I didn't hear that.
A haboob.
Culture Casino was on his greenhouse when he fled from a haboob.
And we actually had to call a halt to the conversation because I was picturing some sort of a strange feral creature. But it turns out that it is an Arabian word for essentially a 30,000-foot wall of dust, like a dust devil, only moving in a wall towards you.
Douglas, we're going to be talking more about the strange vocabulary and vernacular of One Culture Casino, but you continue this, you might be in the same club as him. The Fraudacy was defenestrated. Jonas J. Campbell is out there. He has no idea what he's doing with his money. We've got Grunthos for 10. I took a year of classic Greek literature in college and am quite disappointed in what Nolan made. He bastardized the story just to win awards. I have no respect for him anymore. Lauren, the strange words continue. Can you tell me, sir, what does this strange word bastardized mean? What is that?
To corrupt, to damage, to undermine, or corrupt is going to be best from my standpoint. The story.
I thought it meant to get it on with somebody and get a bun in the oven.
Different kind.
Oh, sorry. Walter Tomaszewski is dropping more gems. We got Neo, give it a membership. You are the one. Thank you so much. Ken Reihart for 2. These gems are stupid. They are so stupid. I got 50 free. That's all. Ken, I am so sorry. Ken, what I would say is give them to an orphan, okay? Maybe it's not a membership, but you can give those gems to an orphan somewhere and they'll appreciate it.
Please, sir, may I have more pro memberships?
What?
See, it doesn't have to be memberships. You can give me a little gem. Doesn't need food, doesn't need oatmeal. Gruel, who needs that? He's back again. Our buddy, our hermano del sur, Carolina, says for 10, Lorne, I heard that. You, sir, might get thrown out of a window.
I think you mean I might be defenestrated.
The defenestrator. That's going to be a heck of an enemy in the future. Captain Nemo gives a clapping seal. Jimmy Kimmel audience right there, I tell you. And then we've got Israel coming in with 10 WDW Pro memberships. Thank you again. Get the orphan back.
Please, sir. May I have more pro memberships?
What?
God bless us, everyone! At least that's what I hear.
Wait, what?
Let's go! Jabba, right?
Oh no!
It's a Sarlacc!
Star Wars Outlaws pre-order available now.
Guys, this is...
Look what we did. We defenestrated the shills, Lauren. Is that how you say that?
Yes.
Okay.
If you're using... Yes, correct.
All right. Let's see. Folks, we missed the goal, but we were so close. Let's just add a little bit more time to this. Here we go. We'll do box office analysis, Odyssey. Here we go. There we go. Start the goal. Get the goal going in. We were really close. You guys, we almost had that. We can get this. Okay. Israel, thank you for the 10. We do greatly appreciate that. Alan Jen, 10 gems. Thank you so much. Israel again, member for 1 month. Welcome aboard. Happy to have you. Good evening, gents. G-Man, Godzilla -0 is the film to see. In addition now, this was my most anticipated, it still is. But, guys, what's the name of the Rocky movie? Andy, what's the Rocky movie coming out? I Am Rocky, is that the name of it?
I Play Rocky.
I Play Rocky. That's up there now for me. Gary, you excited about that one too?
Yeah, sure. I had my doubts about the guy who was playing Stallone, but the trailer pretty much put that to bed. It looks good. I'm real interested. I'm a huge Rocky fan.
That's right. That's right. Go Rocky.
The girl playing his first wife is actually a former Disney actress.
Oh, I did not know that. All right. We've got Robert Wright dropping 400 gems. That's an eggle. Captain Nemo is giving 5 towards the goal. Thank you so much. Sean Carter for 5. Hello to the panel, even Gary and Andy. Especially, I would say. We've got blah, 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 says 1 more for 5. Well, 2 more now. We had to reset the goal. It won't let me do exactly 2, so we had to set it the closest thing. And then Wendy for 5 says, towards the goal. Marching forwards, on and on. 2 more to go, folks. We're going to do it. I know we will because of you. All right, folks, we got 1 more story to hit, and we can't wait to win it for you because it's a big, 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 big deal. And yet again, Holly Weird thinks they're getting a win. And how so? Well, because they're trying to stop the thing we told you is going to happen. It's going to happen. It's still going to happen. But they're shooting themselves in the foot. They're cutting off their nose to spite their face. What are we talking about? Paramount has doubt now that it can finish buying Warner Brothers so long as it stays in California. And a judge seems to be trying to stop it at all costs. The cost just might be to the California taxpayer. Is Paramount down for the count? A judge has decided to stop, seemingly, the purchase of Warner Brothers Discovery by Paramount Skydance. The Ellisons being delayed, they might say, but I'm here to tell you, folks, we told you this is on the way. It's still on the way. It's still going to happen. It's always going to happen. There's no way this stops it. It's just going to annoy the Ellisons, the family that owns Paramount Skydance, and it's going to bounce them right out of California. We'll talk about it in just a second, but Variety has this to say. A judge has ordered a temporary halt to the Paramount-Warner Brothers merger. A state coalition of very blue states argued the merger would violate federal antitrust law, leading to higher prices and fewer movies and TV shows. I don't think that's true. If the deal is not closed by September 30th, in other words, if they can't get through this through the courts in essentially 2 months, Paramount will start to owe millions of dollars a day to Warner Brothers investors. All right, what does Variety have in terms of the article? Gene Madhouse is reporting on this one. Let's dive into it. It says, Judge Araceli Martinez Alguin granted a 14-day restraining order after hearing argument from both sides on Friday morning. It says plaintiff states, showing at least demonstrates that serious questions going to the merits remain, weighing in favor of preliminary injunction relief. Paramount and Warner Brothers will continue to operate as separate, viable companies competing in the marketplace while they wait for the court to adjudicate this case, which is obviously not how Paramount wants this to be going. All right, where did this happen? Well, this is a 12-state coalition. Again, I'm telling you, it's the most blue states in the country, led by California, brought a motion for the temporary restraining order. It says the 14-day restraining order could be extended as long as to 28 days. Martinez Elguin, U.S. District Court for the Northern District of California in Oakland, is the one who did this. And Rob Bonta, is that right, Gary? Is it Bonta or Bonta, the Attorney General of California?
Take your pick, doesn't matter.
There you go. Hailed the judge's ruling as a critical first win in our case to ensure this mega merger never sees the light of day. Says, history tells the tale of what happens when a few people have great power over markets that are central to Americans' lives, fewer opportunities for more people, worse products and services for all people. A Paramount spokesperson said the company is grateful for the court's swift order on the motion for a TRO. In other words, they're happy that they're going to appeal this and win this very quickly. So the problem here is, Gary, this is going to go through. That's not the problem, but it is. It's going to go through. This is going to be appealed. It's going to make its way through. This potentially could actually go all the way up to SCOTUS if it keeps going this way. Gary, the thing here is, though, the Ellisons are going to be very inclined to say, we're out of here. We're done with California. And that, when they have Paramount, Skydance, Warner Brothers, Discovery all combined together, including CNN and all this other stuff, when that giant company that's being formed leaves California, there's talk of it going to Tennessee. There's talk of it going to Texas. There's talks of it going to Nevada. A few sprinklings of New Jersey. I don't think that's going to happen. But when that leaves, that's a Disney-sized company exiting California, and it's another hit to Hollywood. So, Gary, I think ultimately this is just a horrible anti-California action that's being taken both by the AG and the judge. What say you?
They can't help themselves as being the dictators of these companies' lives. You know, like if you don't do what a judge says, then, you know, you're going to the gulag. That's how these people think in this state, which is where I am. And yeah, they don't realize that they can just pack up camp and set up the circus in another state that will be more appreciative and welcoming to them. Tennessee would be great. Texas, but I think Tennessee would be a fantastic state for them to go to. Yeah, I hope they leave. I really do. I hope they pack the entire studio up and leave.
Gary, you're a lifelong Californian. Walk us through what it's like right now in Los Angeles and in around the Hollywood area in particular, given the poor politics of the state that's driving this kind of economic, I can't call it the S word here on YouTube, but what, self-immolation? That doesn't sound as good. Self-deletion?
Well, let's see. Los Angeles, the fires are high, the floods are low. The water never meets the fire for some reason. But I know right here, I'm about 4.5 hours away from Los Angeles, and here I'm dodging insane people on the streets. 1 in 5 people that I see on the street are homeless. That's not an exaggeration. Not only have my friends been assaulted, I've been assaulted. No help from local authorities. It's a mess, and I think I'm very thankful that I'm not in Los Angeles anymore, because I've heard it's even worse there. Not only is their infrastructure failing, but they're 1,000 times worse with people in the streets. Crime is outrageous. I love how the governor says that there's no crime because he just simply doesn't report it. The studio system is pretty much, I don't even think they shoot anything in Los Angeles anymore.
Well, they shoot stuff, but not movies.
Not very much. Yeah. I mean, they used to shoot television. The last time I spoke to my friends there, who are supplying these studios with art materials and things like that, they said all the work's dried up, all of it. They had all the shows. They had Mandalorian. They had some of the Marvel movies. They're all gone. All that stuff's being done in another country. And I don't even know why anybody would go to Los Angeles anymore. And now you can't even drive through it. You actually physically can't drive through it. You'll just end up in a 30-foot ditch.
It's not lost upon me that we've got celebrities who've made millions of dollars through capitalism, screeching that capitalism is evil and we should all switch to socialism, but they're not giving up their money. They're not giving up their houses. And they are applauding right now. I guess, Lauren, we'll go to you on this one. A lot of these celebrities right now are applauding this latest ruling from the judge to halt this. And meanwhile, this will go down in flames. This will not work. Paramount Skydance is going to buy Warner Brothers. This is going to happen. Only the feds could stop this, and the feds already cleared it. There's no way. This is just an annoyance to a company that California needs.
Well, let's, for the sake of argument, pretend that was not the case.
Okay, that's more exciting and dramatic. Let's do it. All right, here we go.
Let's say that they were going to be successful on the merits somehow.
Okay.
Warner Brothers Discovery obviously wanted to part off the studio. There's a reason for that. They're not healthy. The combined entity is supposed to be more healthy. Therefore, hopefully you'll be more successful in maintaining the studio, having more projects, and hiring more people in Hollywood. If you're going to threaten that, not only is there going to be the cost lost in all of the initial investment that they've already made, but it's likely that the studio will continue to struggle. They're not in great shape right now with what's been going on with James Gunn and the reconstituted DCU. So this is, again, a cutting their nose off to spite their face kind of a situation. If you want Hollywood and LA to function, you need people to be working. And as Gary properly pointed out, that's not happening right now. That's why a week or so ago when we were talking about this, I was saying it may be too late at this point. From what I have heard, and granted I'm an outsider, but it sounds like people ain't working, and that's not a sustainable situation.
Yeah, I agree. Gary, any thoughts on that before I go to Andy?
No, he's 100% right. The people, the working people, the craftsmen, the people that build sets, the people that work at the studios on a daily basis, they are not working anymore because nothing's being shot. So
how hard is it to find? How difficult is it to find traditional work in entertainment right now in California, Gary?
Well, like I said, everybody that I know, that I've known for at least 20 years, have told me that they have to find new jobs, not in non-industry. I mean, they're probably out like tarring roofs and stuff like that now at this point.
And that, I think, is the more important point. We tend to think of Hollywood as the executives and the talent, the actors, the people in front of the camera. We don't think about the grips, the gaffers, the set design people, the prop makers, all of that stuff. These are guys that are in actual physical production. They're not glamorous jobs. They're not jobs that necessarily make a whole lot of money. They do have practical skills that can be applied, but it is sort of a niche specialty. And if you can't find work, you've still got to pay your family. If you can't find work in your field, you're going to have to go into something else or move. Those are your options. People have to eat.
Yeah, and I'm going to throw a curveball to Andy. Andy, let me zig just a little bit because I know you can handle it. All right, you do the zag, I'll do the zig. Andy, we've seen this before, and it was not very long ago. We watched this happen another time. Different state, slightly different scenario, and then we saw calamity. Here's what happened, and see if you agree with me. When it came time for Tesla to pay Elon Musk a whole bunch of money, Andy, you remember this story out of Delaware? Delaware judge came in and said, no, you're not going to do that. Shareholders voted and said, yes, we want to give him the money. He earned it. Delaware judge came in and said, nope, not going to allow it. Now, Delaware is the state where, LLC after LLC after corporation, everybody wanted to be based in Delaware because Delaware had all of these business advantages. So if you had never stepped in, across the state line of Delaware, if you had never breathed the Delawarean air for a single second, people still wanted to have their businesses in Delaware. And as soon as that judge did that, thinking they were just so smart, so clever, stick it to Elon, Andy, the businesses fled the state like an avalanche of companies getting out of Delaware. Nobody signs up for Delaware anymore. Like, oh my gosh, doesn't matter if they're left or right. They love money. They don't want to be in Delaware. And then what happened with Elon Musk, Andy? He became a trillionaire anyway. That's what's going to happen here with California. They are on the Delaware path. What say you?
Well, I'm in New Jersey, so I'm in California East. We just lost Exxon, who had been incorporated in New Jersey since their formation. They've left. New Jersey tops the numbers in people leaving their state for something else. Usually a more red state that's more business and citizen friendly. The things that are happening here, like our schools are dropping because people are taking their kids out of here. They don't want their kids growing up in this environment with, like, some of the subjects are being taught in the classrooms that they don't have any control over. The migration is happening, and what it's going to do is going to leave. You're going to have Detroit on each coast. You're going to have New York is headed that way. You have California headed that way. You're going to be chasing anybody, because all you're doing is attracting people in there that are looking for someone to eat. They want to gobble up the means of production and then wonder where, like, why isn't anything out there anymore? Well, you ate it all. You went in there and you destroyed the goose that lays the golden egg. I don't think it's going to come back in Hollywood. I think Hollywood is done, specifically because like George Lucas just said the other day, that AI is the future of filmmaking, and you're not going to stop it. And you can make AI anywhere. You just put yourself up anywhere next to this one of these data centers that are going up in these places. And what do you need Hollywood for? It used to be you had beautiful scenery out there, and it's a lovely state. It's absolutely gorgeous, but you can create any environment you want with a computer these days. You don't need to actually be there. And if you want to have a physical set, you can find something else that can make that happen. I believe Mel Gibson was talking about this. He was shooting a film, and they wanted to do like a pickup shot. It was going to take 1 day in Los Angeles. It was cheaper for him to fly the entire crew over to Bulgaria for 2 weeks rather than film 1 day in Los Angeles. That's not even close to being sustainable.
Yeah, and I'll say this when it comes to these companies leaving, because apparently they don't care. Like California doesn't care. It is full self-immolation. They can burn down an area the size of the city of Paris. Nobody pays a price for it. Nobody can build their houses back. Nobody pays a price for it. They drive companies out of there. Nobody pays a price for it. They've reached corruption escape velocity. But for the naysayers who might still be listening, saying it'll never happen, Hollywood's always going to be Hollywood. Lauren, is it okay to say what state that you reside in? Is that okay?
Oh yeah, I've said it many times.
Go for it.
I live in Washington State.
What is the one company that's most synonymous, would you say, with Washington State?
Microsoft.
Okay, beyond Microsoft. You beat me on that one.
Okay, Starbucks.
Thank you. Lauren, where is Starbucks going now?
Tennessee.
So, folks, we shouldn't celebrate that, right? What we should say is that's a darn shame that a place like Washington is losing a company that is so, closely related with it. Because we want states to be distinct and special, but they have to treat their companies as if they're special, because they are. And it seems to me that California is not treating Hollywood or the studios very specially right now. All of that tax break stuff that they were doing, all the slush fund that was going to go towards saving entertainment, gave most of it to Disney, for Pixar, for a film that's going to get made either way, hexed. This is the kind of stuff they're up to. They're paying the fat cats. They're saying goodbye to their political enemies. It's just too bad the political enemies are going to take a whole lot of taxpayer money with them. All right, folks, we hit that goal. Let's get the super chats up there, and I'll tell you what I think is going to happen with the Odyssey. Grunthos for 5, to the goal. Blah, 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 for 5 says goal. And then we've got Robert Wright for 5, 4.5 out of 5 out of 10. This film has no heart. The story, score, and cinematography are not good at all. Folks, I'll tell you this, okay? From pro to you, I thought it was meh. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to come out here and say it's great because the numbers are big for the box office. And I'm not for a second going to believe this stuff when almost every person that watches my show comes on and says this same thing. I don't think you're lying, and I'm not going to be trying to chase being on the populist side of this. In the end, I think we're going to win out by saying it's not that great. We're going to win by telling the truth. Sun Glyn Wong says, we get haboobs often in Phoenix Desert from the wind shear of the thunderstorms. Is this a Culture Casino alt account? Is that what you've done, Lauren?
No, but I saw it and it amused me, so I tagged it. I wanted you to say haboobs on the air again.
Thank you. Lauren, what was it that Culture was trying to repair when the haboob came from him?
He was installing a wiggle wire.
A wiggle wire, you say?
I do say, sir.
That Culture Casino, it's English, but it doesn't make sense to me. Kamchi, man. Long time, no super chat. Good to see you out there for 5. Regardless which way, and California is blanked up corrupt. Holly Boo is dead either way, even if NF gains Warner? NF, what is NF here? Even if Netflix gains Warner, it's not going to happen. It would most likely go down Sony's current path and die. Paramount's going to get it. Paramount's going to leave California, go to another state. Could be Texas, could be Tennessee, could be Nevada, could be New Jersey. They're going to go to another state because they're not going to put up with this crap. And to nail the 10th for 2, no worries, Gary. Our commie mayor will soon fix things for you. All right, folks, we hit the goal. I'll give you my prediction. I'm going to say that the Odyssey is going to make a profit because I like to tell the truth. I think it's going to make, somewhere between 800 and 850 would be my guess where it winds up. I think Spider-Man's going to slow it down big time. I think it's going to make a lot of money in the first and second weekend, but I think Spider-Man's going to be a big impediment for it. And I think that's where it lands. If we look at the numbers real quick, let's see if we got this. Here we go. Get that. Here we go. So right now it's at 264 after the first weekend. I think it's going to have a big Monday. I think it's going to have a big Tuesday. It's going to fly past 300 million. That's going to be easy. But then the question becomes, can it do 3x? And I think it can, but I think it's going to get to about 800. And the deal here is, and you need to understand this. Everybody listen to me on this, okay? And I'm going to hammer this as we get closer to it. I promise you, I'm not going to let go of this. Even if we're unpopular for doing so, even if people think we're crazy crackpots for doing so. If this film makes $800 million, remember that the IMAX is jacking up the average ticket price by 50%. If it makes $800 million, then without the IMAX trick they're pulling, which is a good trick, and Hollywood should consider doing it again and again. If it makes $800 million, if it was priced as a standard film, it would make $600 million. And if it made $600 million, if that's the number of butts in seats, that's Superman territory from last year. Did we freak out because Superman made $600 million? No, we talked about this is not a big enough film. Keep that in mind. In terms of ticket sales, if it makes $800 million, it's likely selling the same amount as Superman. Pay attention. But Hollywood should consider doing everything now IMAX from now on for blockbusters because making them a lot of cash. All right, Andy Masterson, it's time for you, sir. I'm going to you, sir. What say you? Where are you? And where can people find you? And why should they?
It's a good question. Laboratory Mayhem, I make toys and try to encourage people how to make their own stuff so they don't have to mortgage their houses and live in a cardboard box with all their stuff.
And you also tell people to work out and make themselves better. You're a great guy, Andy, and I appreciate everything you do.
Go to the juice bar, which is that way. Or...
Look at that guy. We've got Lauren Connor. Lauren, tell the folks out there, Lauren and Apollo is a big deal. You got that pod place. You want people to subscribe. What else is going on in your life?
Well, I've traveled down here to the Southeast Game Exchange here for the last few days. Had a little difficulty getting here, but hopefully the return trip will be a little bit easier. We're going to have a fairly interesting premiere that I'm not yet ready to talk about on the 28th coming up on the Lauren and Apollo show. So I hope you guys will tune in for that. There will be an interview of a special guest. We got lots of things in the hopper. You'll have to just tune in and see what we're up to.
There you go. Before I go to Gary, Captain Nemo drops in for 5. My only thought is that after Spider-Man, there's not any movies after for a while, so I think it will linger on. What we have to see is how many theaters does Spider-Man take. I think Spider-Man's likely to get 4,400 screens. It's going to be huge. Cinema owners are going to say, this is the chance, give it everything you've got, 4,400. But you're right, September could be a big month for the Odyssey, and if it is, it breaks $1 billion, and I'm wrong about that. That's what we'll be paying attention to as well. Gary, I know you want to let us know where people can find you, but I also want to say a big thank you because it turns out that the two guys down here on the bottom row, Andy and Gary, have both made things that are in my studio. and there are items that I cherish. I'm not going to say exactly what they are, other than there's a small troll figure behind me, behind my chair, that's always watching over me and terrifies me to no end. But guys, I appreciate the things that you've created and made, and I love having them in my studio. It reminds me of the friendship that we have, and so I appreciate you both. Gary, tell the folks out there where they can find you, sir.
Well, I do have a YouTube channel. It's under my name, which is right there. Yeah, you can look that up. I do have a new video coming out this month where I restore the original Stan Winston Studios Aliens Chestburster from the 1986 film. So that'll be coming out at the end of the month because this month is the 40th anniversary of the movie. So check that out. Other than that, you can find me and the criminal known as Andy Masterson beside me every Wednesday night on the on Pop Culture Breakdown on Doomcock's channel. Along with some of the other criminals in the chat tonight. I thank you guys for joining us tonight. And I want to say hail to the chat, hail to the wrenches. We love you guys, and we'll see you later.
That's right. Absolutely. Folks, go subscribe to all of our guests. Also, if you are not yet subscribed to the Patreon, www.patreon.com/WDWPro. Folks, we just released this as an exclusive first on the Patreon, the panel that we did at Southeast Game Exchange, Real Life Fake Wizard, Critical Drinker, and myself, talking about why stories really matter and where stories are going in the future, as well as what it's like to be on YouTube. Go over there and watch it. We'll release it later on here on YouTube, but you got days and days on the Patreon to enjoy it exclusively. We want you to go have a fun. Want to say thank you to Real Life Fake Wizard. He was truly gracious and magnanimous and ran one heck of an indie circuit over at Southeast Game Exchange. He's a hero, folks, on and off the screen. And want to say a thank you to Critical Drinker, who gave us lots of time, and it was really great. Lauren and I getting to talk to him about what his views are when it comes to England, the UK, Scotland, and the censorship laws, and picking his brain on whether he thinks it's going to get worse and dangerous, even beyond politics. What a great time. Thank you to David Weiss, the composer of Donkey Kong, Battletoads, and so many other games from Rare, for giving me the chance to interview him. Hopefully we'll have that video up soon as well. Ladies and gentlemen, let me check and see on the redirect here. Checking 1, 2, 3. Checking 1, 2, 3. We were going to send you over to Valiant Renegade, but I think he has already closed down for the night. Folks, we're going to send you over there anyway. You can start from the top and see what Valiant had to say. He's running a strange night tonight because he didn't get to do his show last night. Folks and friends, we'll see you again real soon. Take care until the next time. Keep it real out there. Make the world a better place. More content on the way starting tomorrow, eh?
The mainstream media just can't understand how it is we continue to do what we do. They don't realize that we are powered by you, and you are
1.21 gigawatts! 1.21 gigawatts!
Folks, we've still got decades and decades left in the can. It drives the mainstream mad.
Would it make you feel any better if you knew that what we're asking Matt here to do is a holy thing?
You see, we're on a mission from God. We're on a mission from God.
Now you're gonna put me right back in the joint.
They're not gonna catch us. We're on a mission from God.
So folks, as we always say as we end each and every show here, and we mean it, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Every time they hit him, he stood back up again. So they hit him harder. Still, he got back to his feet. Standing man.